Early on July 29, 2007, Richard Messina and his long-term girlfriend Sandra were brutally murdered as they slept in their South Euclid home. The house had been ransacked and Richard's beloved Corvette and his truck were missing. Police quickly learned Richard's 18-year-old daughter Tabitha and her friend Carlos Christopher had skipped town. The following day, local law enforcement discovered Tabitha and Carlos sleeping in the stolen truck nearly 500 miles away in North Carolina. After being extradited back to Ohio, investigators confront Tabitha.
Well, I'm sorry if some of the other guys were treating you off.
No, it's just that one guy.
So?
He has short hair and it's white and gray. And it's real short. And he always has a comb back and he's rude. He was real rude, real mean. I know him for a lot. I've known him.
Okay.
Don't say nothing to nobody. Don't say nothing to nobody. You're gonna smoke. Don't let them know you're smoking up here.
This is my secret room.
Yeah.
Put these back here. Thanks. Hey, Cat, I'm just going to advise you your rights like Dave did in the car when we left North Carolina, okay? You can read along, I'll read them out loud, all right? Before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Anything you say can be used against you in court. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions and to have him with you during questioning. Do you understand that?
I had one, yes.
If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you before any questioning if you wish. Do you understand that? If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you still have the right to stop answering at any time. You also have the right to stop answering at any time until you talk to a lawyer. Did you understand that?
Yes.
Will you read that last paragraph for me aloud?
I have read the statement of my rights and I understand what my rights are. I understand and know what I'm doing. No promises or threats have been made to me, and no pressure or coercion of any kind has been used against me.
Okay. Go ahead and sign that. By signing that, you're not giving up any rights. You're just saying that I told you about them, okay?
Yeah.
Did your mom come in at all this weekend to visit?
No.
She didn't?
I got to talk to my aunts and everything. They wanted to know when visiting was, and I remember I looked at the sign and I told them. I haven't been able to talk to my mom. Nobody's been answering the phone. I don't even know what's going on. I don't know if she's trying to help me or anything.
Well, she is trying to help you. I do know that she talked to the chief secretary this morning and told her that she has been in contact with a couple attorneys.
Mark Stanton, Marshall, Michael Feldman.
Yeah, well, Stanton and Feldman are the names that I was given.
Okay.
And she's making an effort to get one of them to represent you.
Did she mention anything about her wanting to see me?
No, she didn't. But again, I didn't talk to her. I did. She
see one of my family members.
Well, she did ask the chief secretary to have me call her before 1. So I'll certainly tell her that she wants to see you, that you want to see her, and I'll tell her the visiting hours.
These are all the family, all the numbers I do have. These are all of them if you want them. My Aunt Betty Ann and my Aunt Joanne wanted you guys to call. I said you were the guys that brought me, and I told her how nice you guys were.
Who was that, Aunt?
Aunt Betty Ann, my dad's sister.
Okay.
Here, you can have them
Sorry,
all.
Aunt Betty? Is it Martinez?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it okay if I have this?
You can have, well, I want a copy. You can
Okay.
write the numbers down. This is all I got. This was my mom's ex-boyfriend. I talked to him for a few minutes. I couldn't get a hold of Tammy on her cell phone.
That's stay back?
Yeah, and I couldn't, I'm not going to call the house because me and her mom, I told you. I gave my aunt her number and I gave my Aunt Jason's number, both of them. And I only know Andrew, and that's my mom's boyfriend. And then my 2 aunts.
Mike is your mom's boyfriend?
Yeah.
All right. I'll make.
You can write them. If anything, I'll write them down.
Who is Christine and Steve Wilson?
That's the lady that said if anything, she would take the dogs.
Oh, okay.
If anything, you know, like, she's getting out August 14th. I wrote that down too. That was on this piece of paper that you can have. That's what she wrote.
Oh, she was in
she was
jail
in there
with you?
with me. Okay. And I've been trying to figure out. I told my aunts about it, about the dogs and everything. They can't do anything about it. And it's stupid probably, but I've had Beaner since how long?
Beaner is the poodle?
My little white one. I've had him since I was born.
Okay, Beaner is not doing well.
I know, he's not
Okay.
eating because he's not around me.
Okay, he's not doing well. We talked to the Humane Society this morning.
I need to get him back.
I don't know how long they're
Well,
really...
I can understand,
Yeah.
but this is what I want them to do. If you can at least tell them that. Look, as long as I get my other 2 back, I'll be alright. I know Beaner's not doing too well because he's old, okay? Don't let them put him down. Let him live his life until he passes away.
Okay. Because
Fair enough.
they asked me to ask you if they could put him
Leave
down.
alone.
Okay. I'll let them know.
He's lived all these years. He has a right to live it out. He's not in pain. But until he passes away, I don't want them burying him down there either, though. I want him back up here. They can do that. I want my dogs back up here.
We'll work on that too.
Are the other ones okay?
Yes.
Oh yeah, they're fine.
Great.
Oh yeah. I mean, I called down there on Saturday and talked to the director. What's her name? Whatever the director's
I
name
believe
is.
you. I told my aunt that.
And she told and like I told you, she's concerned about Beaner.
I know, but I don't want her to touch him. Just tell her he has a something on his side, like a tumor or something. But he's not in pain because I took him to the doctor.
The director's name is Alice Sutter.
Can you write that down on there?
Sure.
I just don't want him to get put down. Let him live his life out. If anything, if they get transferred back here, if he's not around, I still want him back. Does my mom know about the dogs too?
I haven't talked to your mom since, like I said, I haven't talked to your mom since Friday. So, but when I speak with her, I'll let her know.
Everybody's been assholes down there.
Apologize for that.
No, it's okay.
No, it's not okay.
Well, I don't know if you heard about it. They got mad at me because I had a pen and paper. And I told them, I wrote everything down. Okay, I wrote my whole statement down. Well, the one gentleman, I told him he has white hair and he has blue eyes, skinny guy, no facial hair. And he was mean. And the one lady, I was writing, and when I write, I always have to tap it like this, and I was writing. And all I did was do that, and she said, oh, she's cutting herself or something. So I had 3 officers come in, and a female made me strip and everything for them. And they checked me and everything. And then they
Strip? What do you mean strip?
Strip. I had to take my clothes off.
In front of just the female?
The female, but
okay.
the guys were standing in the hallway. A black female, skinny. She had her hair up in a ponytail, and she made me strip. She checked me and everything. I got checked and everything. And I got pissed about it, and I told him, I'm like, I've never shown anybody here disrespect. I said, that was showing me disrespect. I said, if anything, and I even told the male officer, I said, you guys know me. I said, I'm writing here. They took the pen and everything, and then finally, at like maybe about 8:30, 9 o'clock, they finally gave me my pen back, and he threw it at me.
Who threw it at you?
The guy, the officer downstairs, the one I told you was being rude with me.
Did he have stripes on his sleeve?
I didn't even notice. He had hair, and it's combed back, and he has gray hair, and it's like dark through it also. He was here yesterday, and I think the day before yesterday, because he yelled at me, all because I hit the button. I asked him what time it was. And he said, we're busy, please don't. He said, no, we're busy. He said, and if you hit the button again, he said, we might have to you in your cell and lock you down. And they keep that place freezing cold. And he also told me I was not allowed to have my socks. And he took those too.
I'll write down their phone number too, okay?
Are you allowed to call, am I able to call from the payphone to them?
Well, from your cell, it'd have to be collect, but we'll let you make a call up here, okay? Before you do, I did get a message from this Alice person.
Okay.
I want to listen to that because,
Please.
So
But I did explain to my aunts about you two gentlemen, and I couldn't remember either one of your names. But I told them they were wanting to come down because I was having a chest pain yesterday, and I was talking to my aunt. My aunt wanted to come down and see me, and she couldn't because I guess the meetings are the interviews are visitings are 10 to 12, and then on Wednesday 6 to 8.
Yep.
And I've been having chest pains, and I've been telling my aunts this. I've been trying to call my mom, and I can't get a hold of her.
do you have heart troubles? Do you
No, but it runs in my family.
chest pains?
It runs in my family because my dad has a leaky valve in his heart, and he has a hole in his heart. And a lot of my grandmother did too, and they always had chest pains, and I'm starting to have the chest pains, tightening in the chest. And I haven't been feeling too good either.
Feeling too good, like how?
Sick, weak, not feeling good.
Like, have you been
I couldn't-
physically sick?
Yeah, I threw up, and I very seldomly can I eat. And I haven't slept. You can ask them. I've been sitting up. I can't sleep.
Okay. Well, you're under a lot of stress.
And they
a lot
keep
of
that place
anxiety.
freezing cold.
And it's cold. We'll get you an extra blanket.
I got my aunts believing me, because they even got mad. My aunt got mad and said, it's bullshit. I told them everything. I told them the whole truth. And the guy also tried to take this damn thing from me, and I fought him for it. Not physically fighting, but I argued with him for it. And I had to hide it. I wrote everything down like you guys wanted me to. I got 3 pages, front and back, of these things. Okay?
Well, 3 pages front and back.
Yeah, and I put it like you told me. Say everything, say word for word, detail, everything. And I put it down. I couldn't remember Dustin's last name. My aunt wanted his last name, and I couldn't give it to her because I didn't remember it. All they told me, my aunt told me about my dad's funeral, told me that Sandy was buried with my dad.
Okay. Well, that's nice.
Yeah, I'm sorry we didn't know the particulars of the
It's
arrangements.
not your fault, though. I said you guys were the only ones that have been nice and have done anything to try and help. But everybody else they're mean, they're nasty, they're cruel down there. The one gentleman was nice, the young-looking one, the one that was with you. The heavyset kid, he looks real young.
The heavyset kid that was
The one that opened the door and you were standing with him.
Oh.
Him.
That's the jailer.
Yeah, he is nice.
Well, like we talked about on Friday.
My aunt said I have to see photos of my dad. Is that true?
You don't know. Do you have to see them? No.
Well, I think I want to see photos of Sandy.
The one of who?
Sandy. I did want to see her.
Which one?
They said that I might have to see the crime photo of Sandy. I don't have to.
No, you don't have to see.
Okay, good. I don't want to.
I think you've been through enough.
I don't want
We have a lot of conversation Friday. Hours and hours and hours and hours of conversation.
I told her, I tried to get hold of my mom. Remember when she said don't write a statement or anything? I asked my aunt, should I? And I wasn't going to give this to you guys. And I'm willing to give it to you guys because I trust you.
Can we make a copy of it so you have a copy back?
I don't want them.
Okay, well,
I don't want it.
Well, here's what we're going to do, okay? We're going to make a copy of that, okay? And then I want you to sign every page.
Well, I really didn't have room to sign.
No, I mean,
You can
you'll
sign
sign
it.
you'll sign the
But I
copy.
did sign it. Okay, I'll sign that. And I even dated it August 4th.
I have a couple questions for you, and I'm hoping you're going to bear with me,
I'll
as
answer.
difficult as they might be.
I'll answer them.
There is some additional bruising on Sandy, and it would appear that she was struck after she was dead.
Yeah, from Carlos to the end of the thing.
How did that happen?
After she wasn't alive, he hit her with the end of the rod of
The handle?
yeah,
Wait,
to see if she was alive.
did he hit her how?
He hit her, he jabbed her. He kept jabbing her. He kept hitting her to see if she was alive. And I don't think he did that to my dad because he was afraid. I kept saying, leave him alone, and I kept fighting him. And I told my aunts everything. I fought him as much as I could.
So
I don't think he hit my dad, though. I know he touched him with his foot.
So if this is the axe,
And
Which-
Sandy was laying down.
yeah, which part of the
Here
axe?
with this part.
With this part?
Yeah.
Right there?
Yeah.
Do you ever recall him holding the axe by the blade and hitting her with the handle?
I remember I seen him, and that's when I snatched him. I snatched him by his shorts because that's all I could grab. And I was trying to pull him off, and that's when he mugged me. And he hit her with a handle, and he kept jabbing her with the handle. And I kept telling her, leave her to alone. And I kept fighting him. And he wouldn't. And that's when, remember I told you when Sandy was reaching for something under the bed? My dad always had the gun either under his pillow or under the bed. And he had it under the bed. On Sandy's, well, it was like towards the middle. Either way, if he reached, she reached, they'd be able to grab it. She was reaching for it, and when she got killed, he was wanting to know what she was reaching for. And he reached under bed, and that's when he said, this is what she had. And he grabbed me, when he grabbed me from my dad's bedroom, if you walk out of his bedroom, you'll be walking towards our bathroom, our upstairs bathroom. He stopped between the end of my dad's bedroom, and from the end of my dad's bedroom behind is my brother's, in front is mine. He fired the gun. When he fired it, he pulled the trigger back and he fired it, and it went right through my wall. And I screamed. And then he mugged me, and then he told me, he said, come on. And he walked me to the bedroom, and he broke the poster that my mom bought for me on my birthday, because I was wanting a Anna Nicole poster. She couldn't find it. So she bought me a Scarface one because she knew I liked them. He broke it, and he broke it off my wall. And he dropped it, I think, on the floor of the bed, and he grabbed the poster, and he threw it in the bag. And he also...
Where's that bag?
It's all in the Corvette. Everything, the gun, the jewelry, my teddy bear, the one I had, my diploma. Everything is in that bag. Everything. My aunts are probably thinking I'm going to get my death penalty. And they're trying to prove that I didn't do it. I'm trying to prove. I told them I'm telling everybody everything. They don't want to bury me, and I'm laughing. It's like, if they do, then they do. I can't prove anything else that I've already done. I've cried every single day being in that cell. I'm losing my mind little by little. And everybody thinks I'm a mean person like Carlos, and I'm not.
Do you mind if I read your statement, what you wrote down?
I don't know if I spelled some things right. And I read over it when I was writing it. After I wrote it, I read over it, and I left out a couple words. But I put like a few up on top if I had room.
It's okay. Just breathe.
I want to get out of here. I want to start my life. I want to go back home. I want to go back to school. I want to go back home. I want to see my family again. I'm willing to do everything and anything I can. It's stupid, but I think I'm dying of a broken heart, if anything.
Were you, no, in
Use this, we call it a roll Kleenex.
in the car, you, if I remember right, you made some mention that you didn't want to go home to return the phone because you were afraid your dad was going to kind of trap you in the house and you wouldn't be able to stay out.
Yeah.
Is that why?
That's why.
When Carlo.
Well, I even told my aunts. I told my aunts everything. I called them like 4 times back to back and told them. They even asked me, why didn't you just return the phone? And I know my father. Okay, I mean he's not he's harmless when it comes to me. Anybody else, he will show the mean side. I knew if I walked into the house, he was gonna lock the doors and tell me you can't leave. Because he's done before when I was underage, and I tried to beat him down the steps because he chased me, and I actually made it, but then I got stuck in the garage. Okay? And I didn't want Jason to go because I know Jason, he would have done the same thing to Jason. He loved Jason as a son, and he always said that. My family loves him too. So I didn't want Jason to go. Anybody that my dad liked, he wouldn't, he would trap you and talk to you. And he did it with Andrew. Remember Andrew Buka?
Mm-hmm.
Remember her?
Mm-hmm.
Me and her were close, okay? He knew I loved Andrew. He knew I loved Jason and Tammy. My dad trapped Andrew in the house, and there were cops that came. Okay, and I was 18 at the time, but he trapped me and her in the house because we got stuck, and we were drenched. It was pouring down rain, and I had my Doberman at the time, me and her, and I called him from Walgreens, where Starbucks is by Cedar, to say they came and picked us up. He trapped her in the house. I walked out. He knew I couldn't leave without her. So when the cops came, I was like, you know what, I'm leaving with her. My dad went crazy. No. That's my daughter. The cops looked and said she's 18. She can leave.
Excuse me. Dave, can you come out for a minute, please?
It said she can leave with her. So I knew my dad didn't like Carlos. And I knew Carlos wouldn't be stupid enough to go in the house. And because my dad was very, very, very good with tricking and changing words around to get you in the house. Like, oh, just come on in, let me talk to you for a minute. Go back and try and get her to come on back. Well, I used to tell my friends, I know my dad. Okay, he'll trick you into saying something like, oh, well, Tab told me that you guys were at Bexley. Is that where you guys still are?
No, we were rolling.
No, we're at Rolling. Oh, okay, well, I must have misunderstood. I've drilled it into Jason and Tammy's head. Don't let them fool you. I'm 18, we're all of age. Don't let them fool you. Carlos knew not to let my dad fool him and trick him. Tammy and Jason didn't.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And now I hear things are being said mean about my dad on TV.
I can tell you truthfully, I haven't heard anything.
Well, they said that my dad was abusive, my Aunt Betty Anthony and Aunt Joanne. That they said he was abusive towards us, and he was a mean person, and I'm trying to, I don't know.
Northfield Memory?
Mm-hmm.
Right on the corner?
Mm-hmm. Well, not at the corner, it's between Emory and Green on Northfield.
Okay.
And when I can remember, that's what I'm telling you guys.
The days in?
Is that the Motel? I remember, like I told you guys, I remember the store. Because me, Jason, and Carlos pulled up in it. And I remember it was closed because it was early still. And they were still closed.
And that was the store that showed you the picture
That was the closed store. That was the store.
And
Because it was like a little junky store, and it's like the only one in this big parking lot. It sits like off to the corner, like a little bit. Yeah.
No, I'm just gonna read this out loud, okay? So
Go
Dave
ahead.
knows.
Go ahead, but I mean, like I told you, I left, if you can put the words that I forgot in there so I don't sound illiterate.
Well, if we notice something, we'll let you fill
Yeah.
in.
That's fine.
Okay. Hey, let me start by saying I never knew someone's life could change so fast over a weekend. Anyway, the way everything started was me and my dad were on the phone. I asked if I could stay out a little later with my friends. My dad said no. I got mad and asked him why, and he said because I said so, that's why. I told my dad I'm 18 years old and I'm going to stay out a little longer. He got mad and told me to bring Sandy's phone back home. I said okay. Well, Carl said he would run it down to my home if I didn't want to. So I told him yes. So me, Jason, and Tammy stayed up at Roland as Carlos ran to my home. Well, as Carlos was gone, my dad called Tammy's phone. I told my dad I had a friend bring the phone back to him, and then me and my dad hung up, and maybe 5 minutes later, my dad called back and told me that Carlos hit him, and he hit Carlos, and that Carlos took off running. Well, here comes Carlos running up the hill, and he...
Can I stop you for 1
Sure.
second? The hill he came up, we were sitting in the back by the playground where the swings and everything were. We were sitting right there by the bridge, the little bouncing bridge. That's what we were sitting on. And off to the right-hand side, there's a fence and there's a hill.
That goes down.
That goes down to the street. That was the hill he was running up.
Carlos running up the hill and jumped over the fence. I asked what happened. All he said was, your dad hit me, and no one has ever hit me, and got away with it, and started to laugh. Well, I didn't think much of it at the time, so me, Jason, Tammy, and Carlos went to the store and got pop and cigs, but on our way to the store, Carlos pulled Sandy's phone from his pocket and said, I guess they really don't want this, and threw it and broke it into the street. Me, Jason, and Tammy looked at each other and kept on walking. After the store, we ran into a friend of Carlos, so we all started walking and went to this kid's house. And we were all standing outside when 2 cop cars pulled up. One officer I knew, he told me my dad asked him to bring me to the house. So I told Tammy, Jason, and Carlos I would be right back. The officer took me to my dad's home. I stood outside. I grabbed my dog, who was in the garage. I lit a cig, and I stood outside. Finally, the officer...
Turn it around. There you go. Is that the right way?
Yeah. Finally, the officer came back outside, and we got to the car. The officer took me back to where Jason and them were. The officers left, and when I got back, Tammy was gone. Her mom came and got her, so I sat next to Jason for a little while. Then Carlos said, Tab, come here. I told Jason to hold my dog. I went over by Carlos, and he said, do you want to be free? I said, yeah. He asked, are you going to leave? I said, yeah, but I need to get some clothes and my 2 other dogs. So he said, let's walk. We started walking down the street, and further down the street, we stopped walking. He looked at me and said, let's wait a few minutes and go back, but act like you got hit by your dad and Sandy. And I told him no. Why would I say that? Because I didn't get hit. And I could just act like I got hurt, and I told him, no, forget it. Well, when I said that, he got a little mad because he gave me the coldest look. Then out of nowhere, he punched me right in my mouth. All I could do was grab my mouth, and he put his arm around me and told me to walk. So I did. When we got by Jason ran over to me and asked what happened. Carlos squeezed my shoulders really tight, so I told Jason that me and my dad and Sandy got into it. And Sandy hit me in my mouth. I got to sit for a little bit. I sat down with Jason. I was holding my dog, talking to Jason about being together and how happy we would be. Carlos was with his friend by his steps. Me and my dog and Jason were sitting on the curb when Carlos came over by me and Jason and said, Tab, I need to talk to you. I looked at Jason and I said, honey, watch my baby for a minute. And I shook his head and shook his head and said, okay. I went with Carlos and he said, I want to help you get your dogs, your stuff at first. I said, no, that's okay. Then he said, all of us are going to be so happy. All of us will have a happy life. Then I looked at Jason. Jason smiled at me. I looked back at Carlos and I said, in and out. I just need some clothes and my dogs. That's it. And he said, okay. I went by Jason and told him that I would be right back. I had to grab some of my things. He said, you want me to come? And I said, no, babe, I'll be right back. Kissed him and gave my puppy and gave my puppy a kiss, and looked at Carlos. We walked to my daddy's home, where we were about to go up the side steps, till he grabbed me, told me to take my shirt off, and I looked at him funny, and I said, why? And he said, white is too bright, and that I would get caught, so I did what he said. I took my shirt off, and he grabbed it, and took his shirt off, and a hat, and sat it down right by the stairs. I went up to go up the stairs again. He grabbed me once again, and said, I know what? And he said, drop your pants. And I said, hell no. What for? He said, so I can trust you. And I got mad, and he said, you can trust me.
And I said, you could trust me.
Okay, you can trust me.
So you can trust me.
Okay.
I messed up a lot, but...
Okay, so you can trust me. So, damn. You cut my arm.
I said, God damn, you already cut my arm
on the way here for trust. You said, now I have to drop my pants. You said, real fast, drop them so I can see. So I did what he said. I pulled my pants down so he could see. He told me to get dressed, but to leave my shirt off, so I did. So he went up the stairs, and he said, I'll find a way in without anyone knowing. He jumped on some bricks we had on the side of the house and opened the window, and to a light we had in the window, gave it to me and told me to set it down, which I did. He went to go through the window, and he got caught in it, so he shut the window and told me to come on. So he went to the front, our lights came on, and he said, help me with the light. I unscrewed one and gave it to him. Then he got mad because the light bulb burned him, and he said, open the door now. And I said, I can't, I don't remember the passcode, which I really did remember. He got even madder, grabbed me and said, okay, I'll find a way in for us. He went to the side of my house, took our plant box off the wall. I said, come on, just forget it, let's go. I'll get my dog some other time. He looked at me and said, will you get in now, just shut up. Okay. Well, then the planters come out the wall, and he couldn't get in the window, so he said, I have one more idea, the porch. So he went to the porch, he told me to break the screen, so I did. We got on the porch, and he put something over the glass and broke the glass. He told me to find the lock and open the door. So I put my arm through the window and opened the door. As soon as we got in, I ran downstairs to get my dogs. I heard the door. So when I got my dogs, I came back up. Carlos was coming in from the garage with 2 axes in his hand. And I said, put the dogs down. I got scared and froze. He said it again, put the dogs down. Now I sat them down. Carlos grabbed me and dragged me up the stairs, and I was pulling back so he couldn't control me. So he threw one of the axes on the bed in my room and then pulled me in my dad's room. My dad and Sandy were sleeping. He whispered and put his hand around my neck and followed me down the wall, and I sat by the TV. He went to let me go and whispered, be really quiet. You hear me? I started crying and said yes. He let me go. Watching me, he walked over to my dad and said, no one hits me and gets away with it. And that's when he hit my daddy. I started crying and screamed, oh my God, not my dad. I tried to be loud.
Be loud.
Oh, be loud to wake Sandy, and it did. Sandy jumped up and Carlos punched her, and Sandy hit him right in the eye. Carlos growled and then got even madder and hit her with the axe. She managed to stand. He hit her again. She hit the wall. Blood was all over the wall. She got back up, and then I went after him, and he pushed me into the wall. Well, Sandy was stumbling and fell. She was trying to get something from under the bed, and Carlos hit Sandy in the head with the axe. And that killed her, because she did not move after that. I started screaming and crying. He grabbed me, told me to get a bag, a big one. Don't try anything. I told him I wasn't. He followed behind me, and I went down to the kitchen. I got a big black garbage bag, and he said, move it, let's go, get upstairs now. I ran back upstairs. He told me to get all the jewelry and everything he held. The bag, I put stuff in the bag. When all that was done, I said, can I say goodbye to my daddy and Sandy? He laughed and said, fast. So I went over to my dad and said, Daddy, I couldn't do anything, I'm sorry. I love you, and kissed him, and Carlos said, aw, ain't that cute. Now don't forget Sandy, she's waiting for you, as he was laughing, and I looked at him as I was crying and walked past him to Sandy. I looked at her and told her I tried. I kissed her, and there was a towel I put over her face. I went back to my dad and saw his phone. I tried not to have Carlos see what I was doing, but he grabbed the phone before I could get it, and he broke it and dropped it by my daddy. Now, he wasn't even talking. He grabbed me, dragged me downstairs, pushed me into the refrigerator. Then he said, get the dogs. He walked over, grabbed the keys, said, you drive the Jeep, I'll drive the Corvette. I was still crying hard. He told me to knock the crying out already. I told him, you. Then he grabbed me and said, I don't want to hurt you. Please don't make me. Then he kissed me on my forehead and said, let's go. When we got into the cars, he told me to follow him, but he stayed side by side with me till we got to Jason. He told me if I told Jason, he would kill him, so I didn't tell Jason anything. I acted happy as I was smiling and dying on the inside. I put the radio on loud so we wouldn't talk, and Carlos kept watching us from the mirror to see if we were talking. Meanwhile, Carlos had everything in the car with him. All I had were my 3 dogs and the axe with a bag around it. We followed Carlos to the store, where we all got something to drink, then called Tammy. We all spoke to Tammy, and once we were going to grab her, she needed time to get ready. She said we told her we would see her in a while. Then we got back into the car, followed Carlos to a motel where he stayed. Carlos told me give him the axe without Jason seeing, so I did. There was a black guy Carlos gave it to get rid of for him. Then a young black female went into the room with Carlos for a few minutes. Then they came out. Carlos said she needs a ride. She got in the car with him from the motel. We were on our way to Tammy's. The black girl got out of the car and got in with me and Jason. We met Tammy by Bexley. She got into the car with Carlos. We drove all the way to Buckeye to drop this girl off. When she got out and left, we went to another convenience store. I told Carlos I wanted Tammy to ride with me, and Jason went with Carlos. Tammy was real quiet, and I told her, honey, if you don't want to come, that's okay. I'll take you anywhere you want to go. I won't be mad. I'll still love you. And she said, you sure? I said, yes. She said, Dustin and Holly. I took her to their
house.
Okay. I took her there. Well, when we got there, Tammy got out, and then Dustin wanted to come, so he did. Dustin went with Carlos, and Jason followed them all the way. Finally, we're really for us all. Grab.
We were far.
Okay. Really far.
We all grabbed something, and we all grabbed something to eat.
Got gas, and we were back on the road. A few more miles on the road, Jason and Carlos switched. Carlos was riding with me, Jason with Dustin. We followed Dustin and Jason for a few miles. All of a sudden, Dustin stopped the car and said, something is going on. We are out of here. Tab, you come with us. That's when Carlos pulled a knife out on me and held it to my side. And remember, tell them you're fine, just go.
He murmured.
Okay. He murmured, tell them you're fine, just go. So I told them I'm okay, just go. At first they didn't believe me. Then I smiled and said, I'm okay, I'll call you when I get a chance. They still didn't want to leave, but they did. Carlos got happy and said, wow, they believed us. They're gone, haha. We fooled them. And that's when we headed to North Carolina. That I didn't know at the time, and that's it. All
left.
All left.
That's all.
We got arrested, went to jail, and I'm trying to get out to go home to my mommy and get my dogs back and start a new life. Did you know Carlos was going to do this?
Kill them? No. Not until we got into the house. And I told you when I went downstairs, when you go in my house, you go downstairs to my basement. That's the laundry room down there also, off to the side. That's where my dad always kept my dogs. I went into the laundry room. There's a little gate that you have to open to get them. That's what I was getting. I already had clothes on my dresser because I was just staying the night with my dad for the weekend because I live with my mom. Well, I didn't grab the clothes because when I heard the door open, we have chimes outside my garage. Like, as soon as you open my door from my house into my garage.
Like wind chimes?
There's little wind chimes. It's a house. And it has little chimes on the door. So when you leave my house, that's how I always got caught. When you leave my house, we'd hit the chimes, and the chimes would go off. Well, I heard the chimes, so that's why I grabbed both of them. I grabbed Beaner and I grabbed Peanut. Sophie was already with Jason. Jason had her the whole time.
Okay.
I grabbed my two pups, and I was coming back up the steps. You have to go around the banister to go up my steps. I walked all the way up to my steps to my door where the bathroom is. That's a little hallway. That's when he was coming in. He had two axes in his hands. The little axe, it has a really skinny neck, really tiny neck. The bigger one had a wider neck to it. And he had them both. And that's when he yelled at me. He said, "Put the dogs down now. Let's go." And I froze because he had the axes, and I froze right down there. And I looked at him. I said, "Put the dogs down." So I sat them in the kitchen right in front of the refrigerator. That's when he snatched me by my shoulder, and he had my bra like in his hands, like his finger like that, and on my shoulder. And he was pushing me up the steps, and I was like trying to tug away from him. And I kept like, I put my hand on his chest, and I had him against the wall. And I was against the banister, and I kept shaking. I said, "Let's go." I kept saying, "Let's go. I already got my dogs. Let's go." And he managed, and me and him were struggling going up the steps. My room's on the right-hand side. It's the first room. That's when he tossed one of the axes on the bed so we could have better control. And that's when he put me like that, and he like pulled me up the steps. We had 2 steps we had to go up. And that's when he grabbed me and put me into my dad's bedroom, and he went like that, and he said, "Shut the f*** up," and he followed me all the way down the wall like that. And he told me, he said, "Just be quiet, you hear me," and he had the axe like that, when he had his hand like that. And I said, "All right," I said, "I won't say nothing." And when he hit my dad, that's when I screamed. I said, "Oh my God, not my dad." And Sandy jumped up.
Before this happened, did you and Carlos talk about it and, even jokingly say,
I
my
didn't find
dad's really
anything
giving...
fun about it. I didn't think anything funny about it. Because if you asked Jason and Tammy, they kept asking me the whole way driving, "What's wrong with you? Why are you so quiet?" And a lot of my songs were coming on the radio that I used to, when I used to go out, I'd sing and have fun to. My friends knew my favorite songs. I wouldn't even sing to them. I had my radio blasting so I could, like, hear the songs and try and forget about what happened. And that's when I told Jason, I said, "You ride with Carlos. Let me see if I can get Tammy in the car." And I seen Tammy because her face, she was like this the whole time in the window. And I told her, I said, "Get in the car with me." And before we were just driving, Carlos kept saying, "Just follow me." And I was following him, and I looked at Tammy. I said, "Do you really want to come or not?" And she looked at me. I said, "Look," I said, "I'm not going to be mad at you." I said, "You're my best friend. I love you." I said, "Whatever you want to do." I said, "Tell me." And I made a joke. I said, "Just tell me before the 2 actors pull up close to us." She goes, "Well, you sure you're not going to be mad at me?" I told her no. And that's when she said she wanted to go by Dustin and Holly. We got lost going there. Like, a few times we got turned around on the roads.
Going to Dustin and Holly.
And Holly. So she called Dustin, and I don't know if she was talking to both of them. And they were giving her directions how to get down there. And we got lost so many times. Finally, when we found the house, I just thought, I said, "You know what?" I pulled up into the driveway.
Tammy called Dustin from what, her cell phone?
Her cell phone. And she talked to Dustin and Holly, both of them. Because we got lost so many times going down there. And finally, when we found the house, I pulled up into her driveway, and Dustin came out, Holly came out with a few kids came out with her, and this older woman, I think was Holly's mom or something. And Dustin was like, where are you guys going? I told her I'm just dropping Tammy off. I said, we're leaving. I said, and Jason, that's when Jason said, we're leaving so we can get married. And Dustin got all happy. He goes, finally, you guys are going to make a commitment. And I said, yeah. I said, we're going to leave. Dustin got all upset. He goes, I don't want to live in this shit either. He said, I want to go. And he tried and tried to convince Holly to go with us. She wouldn't go right then there. She goes, what if it doesn't work out down there? She was like, then we lose what we have here. Dustin goes, then I'll come with you guys. He said, and we'll settle down there. He said, we'll find a place, we'll get some jobs. He said, I'll send back for you and the babies. Holly's mom got pissed about it. And then Holly got mad. And then finally Holly said, fine. Dustin came with us. We left Tammy and everybody there. And Dustin always loved my dad's Corvette. He always loved it because he was big on cars. So he automatically wanted to ride in Corvette. So he got in the car with Carlos. Carlos was driving it. We followed them. Me and Jason followed right behind them. And Carlos was so messed up, he kept swerving off to the line. He kept getting real close on the freeway to the line, the white lines. We were going past 55th. I'll never forget it, because that was the way I always went to my grandma. We drove past Lake Erie. It was on our right-hand side. I called Dustin, okay, because Carlos left the phone in the truck. I called Dustin on his phone. I said, look, I said, pull the car over. I said, if anybody's going to drive my dad's car, I said, I want you to drive it. I said, because Carlos is swerving all over the road. Dustin said, all right. They switched. And Dustin told me to drive towards Dead Man's Curb. Well, I got lost on that way. So I remember when me, Jason, and Andrew got into a car accident, we almost lost our lives on the marginal on 55th. So that's the way we went. We went past the hill that we got into a car accident. I thought we could maybe hit Dead Man's Curb because the freeway, the direction I was going, the freeway was right next to me. And Dead Man's Curb was right up ahead. So I thought maybe if I could hit it from the side road. And I didn't. I managed to make it all the way downtown by the Brown Stadium, and I got turned around. So Dustin cut around me, and he kept going like this to follow him, and I followed him. And I mean, Dustin drove the rest of the way, and I was following behind him. Then we were real far, and he goes, I'm hungry. He said, let's all grab something to eat. I kept saying, I'm not hungry, I'm not feeling too good. And I was getting really hot and starting to sweat, and I threw up so many times outside the car. And Jason kept asking me, what's wrong? I kept saying, maybe it's the heat. First, I'm not being funny, he thought I was pregnant, because I was getting real hot, and I wasn't eating. And he bought me a cold coffee that I always used to buy. I couldn't drink it. I kept saying, I'm alright, I'm okay. We left McDonald's. We got back on the road. There was a gas station down the road from McDonald's. We stopped in there. We each got $48 in gas. Carlos paid for the gas for both vehicles. I told Jason, I said, run in there. I said, then pay. Carlos gave Jason $40. He said, put 40 in the car. Jason asked me what I wanted. I just told him, I said, just give me a pack of cigarettes. He said, all right. He ran to the store. He got us some cigarettes. And then we got back on the road. We were many miles from the gas station where we were. And Carlos waved. Dustin started waving his arms. And he kept going, he kept pointing. And we pulled into this, it looked like a bank or something. We pulled into this parking lot. We pulled up all the way to the end. And we sat there for a second. I turned the air conditioning on because I was having a hard time breathing and sweating. And Carlos said, I want to ride with you. And I looked at him. And Jason automatically got mad because another guy riding with his girlfriend, he didn't like it. And I looked at Jason, I said, I said, it's okay. I said, just go in the car with him. Dustin, I said, me and Carlos will follow behind you for a little bit. I said, then you'll get in the car with me again. He didn't like it, but he was mad and he got out. Carlos got in the car and he started asking questions. He goes, Dustin's phone's going off a lot. He goes, and Dustin's acting weird. I kept looking at him. He goes, but I don't think he knows anything. And I looked at, Carlos. I just looked at him and I looked at Dustin. Dustin goes, come on, just follow me. We got back on the road. We went not too far. Dustin stopped at a light, completely stopped, and it was one of the blinking lights. He stopped completely. And he went like this, and I pulled up around him. And he goes, something's not right. And he just hung the phone up. He goes, something's not right. He said, me and Jason are out of here. He said, Tab, you coming with us? And Jason said, come on, baby. He was like, just come with me. And I looked at him, and I wanted to, and that's when Carlos, he pulled out my dad's knife. And I mean, he touched me right with the point on my side. And I looked at him, and he murmured, he goes, "Tell him that we'll catch up to him later. Tell him he'll be all right." And I looked, I said, "No, guys." I said, "You know what?" I said, "I made it this far." I said, "You guys just go home." I said, "Me and Carlos will get set up. We'll get us all jobs. We'll find a place for us to come back to." I said, "I'll call you guys." Dustin shook his head. He goes, "No." He said, "Come with us." Jason started crying. He goes, "Please." He said, "Just come with me." And Carlos said, he said, "You know what?" He goes, "I guess they're both going to get killed." He said, "If you don't make them believe it." And that's why I started laughing. I looked, I said, "Come on, guys." I said, I'll be okay." I said, "Seriously." I said, "Look." I said, "Trust me." I said, "I'm fine." I said, "And I'll call you as soon as I find out where I'm at." They didn't want to leave. I kept telling them, I said, "Just go. If you love me, Jason, just go." Jason knew something was wrong because he looked at me funny, and Dustin looked at me. And he goes, "All right." He said, "Please call." And as soon as they made a left, we made a right. And Carlos started going crazy, laughing. He goes, "Ha!" He said, "You know what?" He said, "We finally made him believe us." And he couldn't close my dad's knife. And he asked me, he said, "How do you close this damn thing?" I told him, "You push a button." I said, "You pull the blade down." He did. He put it back in his pocket. And I mean, he just got all happy and everything. And he got all excited. And he goes, "You know what? We're going to be fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine." And then he tells me, he goes, "You know what? Pull up over." And I told him, I said, "Why?" He said, "Pull over." So I pulled over, and he goes, "I want to drive." I said, "No, no, no, no." I said, "I'm driving." I said, "You know, I drove this far." I said, "I've been driving." I said, "No, you're not able to drive." I said, "You're going off the road." And he said, I said, "Get out the car." He said, "Because I'm driving." And then I went to get out, and he said, "No, no, no, no." He said, "Climb over me." So I put the car in park, and I climbed over top of him. He was climbing underneath me. I ended up in the passenger seat. He continued to drive. He hit the freeway somehow. I don't know how. We were on a deserted little street with stores. He started driving, and we hit the freeway, and it started raining real bad. Real bad. I mean, where you could barely see. And he was fidgeting with the windshield wipers, and he couldn't get them to go fast enough. He told me to reach over and make them go fast, so I did. I mean, it was starting to get dark, and it was raining even harder than what it was. And he pulled out to the road, and he was like, "You know what?" And he stopped, and we were like, the line was like on the middle orange line, you know, between E and F. And it was starting to lean a little to the E. And he goes, "You know what?" He goes, "We're going to get some more gas." So he turned the car off. He left the phone in the car, and he walked around, and I was sitting in the car, and he took the keys. And he looked, he goes, "You know what? Come with me." I said, "No." I said, "I'm not feeling good." He goes, "Come with me." He opened the door, he grabbed his phone, and grabbed me, and he put his arm, like, you know, when you go to prom or something, you put your arm and you lock each other. And the guy's looking at it. He was an older man at the gas station, and they didn't sell cigarettes. He said, "What do you want?" I said, "Cigarettes." The guy didn't sell cigarettes there. And I looked, I said, "Okay." He goes, "That's funny." He goes, "A gas station that doesn't sell cigarettes." I looked, I said, "You know, it's okay, it's okay." And the guy's looking at me, he even asked me, he said, "Ma'am, are you okay?" And he goes, "Yeah." She said, "She's fine." He started laughing. He goes, "That's my new wife." He said, "We just got married." He said, "She's not feeling too good." And he looked and he gave me a bottle of water for free. He said, "You know, you're looking too pale." He said, "Here, take the water, it's on me." And Carlos looked at me when we were walking out. He said, "You're a pretty good actor." And he put me in the car, and he walked around and hopped in and took off.
Did you guys get gas there?
Yeah, he got gas. I had to stand outside with him when he got gas. He didn't trust me at all with the keys in the car.
So when did you guys end up at that hotel and
The one we got caught at?
Yeah.
I kept telling him, I said, "I'm not feeling good." Carlos, I said, "I'm not feeling good." And I kept throwing up, and he kept laughing. He goes, "Oh, what, did J-Boy get you pregnant?" And I looked at him, I said, "No." I said, "I'm just not feeling good." And I started getting like, the way when my migraine comes on, the vision starts to get real blurry, and I start to get real nauseous. And I laid my seat back, and I had my hand over my face, and I kept like telling him, "I'm not feeling good." I said, "I need to lay down for a little bit." He goes, "Fine, we'll find a motel where we can get the dogs in." He said, "'Cause the hotel you won't be able to get the dogs." And I said, "All right." He drove around, and I mean, it got dark, real dark, and he didn't know where he was. And I kept asking him, "Where are we?" And he couldn't tell me. And I mean, it was getting real late. It was like 1, 2 o'clock. And that was like the second day of not getting any sleep. And I was getting bad headaches already. And I remember I dozed off for a few minutes. I woke back up and we were on like this dirt road. It was all dirt. I remember, and he pulled into this guy's yard because it was like right by the freeway. And he got turned around, he pulled into this guy's yard and he backed up and he got stuck. And so he worked his way out of it, got back onto the dirt road, and found the freeway. Well, he didn't know where he was. He said, so I'm just going to pull over for a little bit. We pulled over, and it was a gas station, and it was already closed, the gas station. He goes, you know what? He's like, we're going to stop for a minute. So I took my belt off my pants, and I put it around my dog's collar for a leash. Beaner didn't need a leash. He was old. He wasn't going to run. I sat him down automatically. I had Peanut. I sat him down because he wouldn't run either. Wherever Beaner was, that's where he was. I had her around Sophie. She was my newer dog. We let them use the restroom. I sat down in the middle of the driveway of the store. Sat down, let the dogs, walk around for a little bit. And he stood right over top of me. And he goes, okay, now let's put the dogs back in. We put the dogs in the car, and he took off. We were driving. We pulled up, and we found this motel. I was like off to the side. I mean, in the middle of nowhere. I didn't know where the hell I was. And he goes, you know what? He was like, let's see, because it was a motel where you could open the door and you could sneak your dogs in. He goes, I'm going to see if we can get in here. He said, shut the door. He said, make sure the dogs don't get out. I said, all right. We shut the door. We walked in, and we walked in this little awning, and that's where all the rooms were under an awning. You walked all the way. We walked up one little step, and that was the office. There was a bell. We hit the bell. Nobody came. We stood there.
You guys actually were able to get into the office?
The office door was open.
Okay.
Like somebody was there, but they weren't in the room at the time. And we hit the bell. Nobody was there. So we stood there for a little bit. Nobody came. I had 60 cents. That's how much the pops were, the 65 cents. I got a Coke, and I got the dog little waters, because there were little waters. I got 2 of them. He walked me back to the car. I had a little cup from McDonald's that I got the dogs water in. Gave him some water and everything. Sat in the car. He goes, you know what? He said, we're just going to stay here then for the night. He locked the door. I sat up. I had my seat back, but I was wide awake. I had the dogs on me. I had Beaner on my chest because he wasn't feeling good, Beaner. And I was worried about him, so I kept giving him water. He wouldn't drink. And I kept crying. I said, he's not doing well. And he grabbed, when we were at the house, I grabbed dog food, too, and dog treats. They're in the bag in the car right now.
In which car?
The Corvette. Jason and Dustin took off, so I was like, I said, I got dog food. And I thought it was like, Dustin and Jason took the car with dog food in it. So I'm like, I said, this isn't working. I said, they're not eating. And we had the hamburgers that I didn't eat. So I broke it off, and all 3 of them were eaten. I gave 3 hamburgers to the dogs. He got mad at me about it. What if I wanted one? I said, you know what? I said, they're my dogs. I said, it was my dad's money that bought them. I said, you're in my dad's car.
So he took money from your dad?
Yeah, that was the money. Because I told you I only had $15.
Where was the money at?
That's the money we have right now that he was throwing into the gas tank.
Okay.
And when we got arrested, when the cops came the next morning, he kept telling me, don't get out the car. And I had my hand on the lock. I was going to hit it, and he said, I told you not to get out the car. And the cops kept yelling, screaming, open the car door. And I could tell him, I'm trying. And Carlos had his arms through the window. The back window was like a triangular cut that you can pop the side and push it. He had his arms through because the cops said, he said, ma'am, he said, I don't want to shoot you. And I said, I don't want you to shoot me either. And he said, Carlos, and I told him, he said, what's your name? I said, Tabitha and Carlos. He got mad at me about it. He said, put your hands through the back window. He said, or I'm going to shoot you. He finally put his hands through the window, and I opened the car door, and I jumped out. And when I jumped out, Sophie was on my seat. I kept telling him, I said, look, my dog's going to try and get out. I said, please, I said, keep her in the car. They shut it. They told me to sit down. He let me have a cigarette. I sat down against the cop car. They pulled him out, and they handcuffed him, and then they put that wire around his wrists in the back, and they sat him against the curb. They checked, he even said, he said, ma'am, he said, is it okay if I check your record? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, I need your social, and it wasn't on my license, because I lost my license once, and it had my social on it. So I renewed it, and it cost me $27 to renew my license. And I said, I don't want my social on my license this time. Just in case I lose it, somebody can use it. He said, can I get your social? And I told him, I said, he ran it, found out I had nothing on me. He found out I was clean, but the Columbus thing came up. But it was like, what did they say? It was cleared, because my dad cleared it. He wanted me to get arrested, my dad, so he could grab me. Because if they wouldn't arrest me, I would have continued to leave. So they said, okay, that's all you have on your record, but it's clean. I said, yeah, and they wanted me to explain all that. Well, when they pulled Carlos up, I guess he had a lot of things on it. Because they said, wow, for a young guy, he got a lot of things on his record. And he said, we're going to take you guys down to the station. I said, what's going to happen to my 3 pups? They told me they were going to take them down to the animal protective. And the guy was real nice to me. He said, you know what? He said, you look like a nice girl. He said, are you going to try anything? He said, I'm going to take your word for it. I said, no, sir. I said, for one, I wouldn't try it. I said, if I would, I wouldn't know where I was going anyway. He said, I trust you. He put cuffs on me, but he said, you know what? He said, I'm going to put them on you frontwards. And he put them on me, and I was in the front, and he left them real loose. I mean, I could have took my hand right out of it. He said, I just need to put them on you so it looks right. He had the window rolled down and everything in the car, and he took me down to the station. They took the cuffs off me. He gave me a cup of coffee, and I sat back there. Carlos was screaming in the other room. Where I was, you could see the hallway. As soon as you walk in the hallway, off to the right, Carlos was in another little room, and he was screaming. And when he was like jumping, and you could hear the chair hit the floor, and he was screaming. And the guy said, "You got a bond." At first, it was $1,500 bond, but he didn't tell me that. He said, "You got a bond." And before we got arrested, the money was in the console where the CDs are in my dad's car. Carlos told me to grab it. He said, "Bond yourself out." He said, "But get me out with you." He said, "Do you have to sell the car?" He said, "Do it." He said, "Get me out." I said, "All right." Well, when the officer told me I could bond myself out because I was 18, I said, "Do I have to bond Carlos out?" He said, "No." I said, "Good, because I'm not going to." I said, "If I bond myself out," I said, "well, one of you officers show me how to get back on the right road to Cleveland, and also show me how to get my dogs, because I guess the dogs I didn't have to pay for the first day to get out." He said, "Yes, ma'am." And then that's when they took me upstairs, and they said we were arrested for a homicide, for a double murder. And I looked at the officer, and when he mentioned my dad and Sandy, as a normal reaction, I actually started crying again. And I had my class ring on, and I threw my class ring, and it hit the wall, and it bounced somewhere. The officer picked it up. His name was Chris or John, and he put it back on my hand. He said, "You deserve to have that on your finger." And he walked me back downstairs, and when I went back downstairs, that's when they told me I was arrested, and I had a $1 million bond that I wouldn't be able to get out. So they told me to take all my things off and everything. So I took my ring off. I took the target, the belly, the top earring out, gave it to him. And they put my clothes in a bag in front of me. Carlos, I seen all of his stuff come right in front of me. They sat it on the desk right in front of me. And I looked, and I remember they had my dad's pinky ring, and he didn't wear it. He wasn't wearing it in the car. He put it in the console. He was going to sell it, pawn it. And I told him he wasn't, and that's what got me and him into another fight. I told him, I said, "That's my father's." I said, "You ain't pawning." Well, when they sat it down on the table, I said, no. I said, "That's not his." I said, "The pinky ring, the bracelet, and the cross. The cross I bought my father." I said, "That's not his." They asked me the same thing you did. "Is there more people that can verify that this is your father's?" I said, "You call anybody." I said, "They can verify all of his jewelry, all of it. My sister, my friend, anybody. They know, because my dad always wore his jewelry." I told my aunt about it, and I told her, she said, "If anybody can come down and verify it, will we be able to grab it?" I said, "Hopefully." And they asked why my aunt even said, "I'd rather it be with you." I said, "I can't." I said, "Because I'm arrested right now." I said, "If I was set free," I said, "they would probably give it to me." I said, "But I can't right now." So my aunt wants to come down and be able to get my dad's things, because when my dad was buried, he didn't have any jewelry. That's it. I haven't been feeling good since I've been arrested over this. I haven't, and it's not because I'm nervous, because I swear on my grandmother's grave, I ain't nervous about nothing. I know I'm telling everything. I know my aunt even told me, you have a chance to come back home. I ain't scared about this. What bothers me is when I walk out of this jail free, I'm never going to see my father or Sandy again. And that's what's eating me up alive. I have thrown my guts up, and I'm not being gross. I have nothing in my stomach to throw up. I've been throwing up water. I couldn't sleep. I can't sleep. If anything, I've been looking up at the damn ceiling seeing it rain all day. I see what time it gets dark, everything. I can't sleep. That little room drives me crazy. I pace back and forth. My aunt told me about my dad's funeral. That's what drove me crazy right there. That my dad got buried with nothing on him, no jewelry, no nothing. The cross I bought him because he was in the hospital for his open heart surgery, and I bought it for him. And the nurse even told me I could put it around his neck, and I told him to keep it safe. Sandy was cremated, and she was put in the urn in the casket with my dad. And I started crying because she said those two can be together forever. And there's not one day that goes by I don't think of my dad. I write my dad on me all the time. He was going to give me a tattoo of my idol, I told you. Into the coal, I want my dad back. And I can't get him back. And it bothers me every single day. And I'll be honest with you, you put this and take it to court with you. I would be in jail. I really would if I got out right now and Carlos did too, because I would be the one to kill Carlos. And I swear that on everything. I would kill him right then and there. And you think my dad was cruel or whatever, he would be 10 times worse. He wouldn't have a face. And I said it flat out on the phone, knowing it was recorded. It eats me alive to know he's still breathing and that he laughs every single day. Because I asked the police officers, I asked the black gentleman, I asked him, I said, is he in this building? And he said, yeah. I said, is he all right? Yeah, he's fine. He ain't showing no tears, no nothing. And that bothers me. You told me he was right next to the store to me. If I could have, I would have bit the wall in two to get to him. If anything, if I am out and he's still in jail, I will make it a personal visit to see him and tell him flat out, look at him right in the eyes, because I was known, I've never been able to talk to somebody, look straight in their eyes. I don't have the courage to do that. But I would look at him and tell him, I pray every day for you to die. And if it came down to it, if he had to spend the rest of his life in jail or get the needle, like you told me, remember what I told you? I'd rather him live every day of his life knowing what he did and destroyed a family. And it pisses me off to find out that they said shit on the news about my father, how mean he was and abusive. If I could, I would love to talk to the media and tell them the truth on my father.
Well, I can honestly tell you, I haven't heard anything like that.
Me neither.
Well, my aunt told me that the media has been saying mean things about my dad and Sandy. And you know, I told my aunt I had no other way out. I tried to get Sandy up, and I got her up. And I tried to help Sandy. I was already crying already over my father. And right when I jumped up to help Sandy, my dad flipped over because he was laying. I'll never forget it. My dad always laid at the foot of the bed because at the headboard, it was a little higher up. So his body would lay, his head would be up, and his feet would be a little farther down. And he couldn't do that on his chest. And my dad had bad circulations in his leg. If you looked at his legs, I mean, I'm sure you guys see him in his shorts all the time. and you seen how black and blue his legs were. My grandmother was the same way. The blood wouldn't flow, and it would stick to the skin and bleach it. He would lay with his feet propped, and he laid like this when we walked into the room. He was laying, and he had his arm under his pillow and his head placed in his hand, like that. When I jumped up to help Sandy, which I did, I grabbed him, and I couldn't grab anything else, so I snatched his shorts to spin him around, and that's when he went like that, and he pushed me back into the wall, and I hit my dad's TV case. My dad flipped over, and I thought he was getting up. I got excited. I thought he was getting up. And then I just seen him fall off the bed. His legs went straight up in the air. He started laughing about it, and I got pissed over it. And then he growled at Sandy like a dog when she hit him. And then when he hit her and she didn't get back up, I went crazy. I started crying. I said, please let me say my goodbyes to my father and Sandy. When I kneeled down by my dad's neck was like twisted. And I was trying. I went to touch him, and he grabbed me, and he told me not to touch him. And I looked, and he was holding me. I'll never forget it. He held me right around the back of the neck because I had nothing else to grab except a bra strap. And he held me by the back of the neck tight. And I said, at least let me give my dad a kiss. And I kneeled down, and I kissed my dad on his forehead. And I whispered, I said, Dad, if you're alive, I said, please give me a sign. I said, it's just me real close to you. I said, do something. And he didn't do anything. And he started laughing when I kissed my dad. And he goes, oh, isn't that sweet? Father and daughter reunited. And I looked at him. I said, you're a sick son of a bitch like that. And he said, well, Sandy's waiting for you on the other side. He said, why don't you go see her? And I went over to Sandy. I really couldn't see her face. Her hair was over her face. And I leaned over, and all I could remember is part of her forehead was showing. And I kissed her on the forehead. And from the way he hit her right in the temple. And she was laying, when she was laying, I remember she was half up, like on her thigh. And her nightgown was completely up. And I said, at least let me pull her nightgown down. He wouldn't let me. I kissed her on her forehead. There was a little towel that usually there's always a towel because my dad sweats in his sleep. And she always dabs him. My dad was, what was the word, when you stop breathing in your sleep?
Oh, I know you, I can't think of the word.
And something. And she would always dab his chest and wake him up. And he would always wake up. Because he was in the Cleveland Clinic for that. They kept him overnight. So there was always a towel or anything, something cold to dab him with. It was on the floor. And I kissed her. When I kissed her, I grabbed it. And I placed it over her face. And he was being a self-centered, and he grabbed the pillows and threw them at my father. He said, at least if he's laying on the floor, he can be comfortable.
What about the cross?
He took the cross.
Where was the cross at?
Above our doors. If you look, we always had a cross above each one of our doors. And when my grandmother passed away, the big wooden one, it's real thick. It's above my door. It was over her bedroom. Ask anybody, I was the closest to my grandma. My dad put her cross over my bedroom. My grandmother had 2 more crosses in her house, one entering into her kitchen and another one entering into my grandfather's room. And he had one over his bedroom, one over my brother's, and then there was another one. And Carlos grabbed it. When he grabbed it, he looked at it and he started laughing. And he threw it, and I think it, from what I remember, I think it was by my dad's head, if anything. I don't remember. I think it landed by my dad's head. And the counter, the little counter with the lamp, my dad's phone was on. And he had a little box with a blue phone that I went to grab. And Carlos grabbed that, opened it, snapped it, dropped it, grabbed my dad's wad of cash, and took off.
There was a dog tag too.
It probably came out the dresser. Because my dad kept,
It's from 1999.
Sarge.
That sergeant.
That's Sarge. She had a little dog tag. My dad always loved
Remember what color it was?
No, I didn't pay attention to that. If anything, I wasn't even there. My mind wasn't even there. You asked Jason and Tammy, they could tell you. Tammy kept worrying about me, and Jason was scared. Jason kept saying something's wrong with you, because all I remember, I wouldn't even look at them, and every time they would talk, I'd glance and look down. I remember my dad kept all of my dog's tags. All of them.
You kept them on the dresser?
Inside the dresser, for memories. He kept Beaners, he kept Sarge's, so, I mean, it could have been either one of theirs. I don't know.
The guy at the hotel, or the motel, that Carlos gave the axe to,
That black dude.
do you know his name?
Mm-mm. Carlos wouldn't let me look at him.
Did you get a look at him?
A glance. I got the glance at him, and all I remember seeing, I mean, I'm not being funny, okay? I'm really not being funny.
Okay, no, that's fair enough.
But I did see he had a jersey on. Because, I mean, with a black face, something light color stands out. And he had a white and blue jersey on.
If you saw a picture of him, would you recognize him?
No, but I would recognize her.
The female.
The female, I can't get her face out of my head.
I need that guy's name. I don't know where you have him.
Jason saw him. Jason did see this black guy. Because he was in the car and he asked who it was. And I told him I didn't know. But the black girl, I do know, and I can tell you, I know her face. And the only reason I said Buckeye, we weren't at Buckeye, but I remember because every time I would go to my mom's job with her, there was a photo, a painting on a brick wall, and it was all black people, and it was a colorful photo, painting, and there was a gas station right across from it.
You want more coffee?
Please.
How do you like it?
Black.
You want a cup, Mike?
I know. I'm going to make a copy of these, okay? And then I'll come back in here.
It's weird for me to ask, but could I see the photos of my dad and Cindy? I really want to see.
Well, here, I'll tell you what, Tabitha. I'll make a deal with you, okay? Dave and I have been cool with you from the get-go, right? And I can appreciate where you're coming from, okay? But I'm going to ask you, you take tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow, if you still want to see, I'll show it to you, okay? But I want you to think about, between now and then, I want you to think how you want to remember your dad and Sandy.
All I remember was my dad and Sandy laying in a bedroom. I don't even have my photos that I was wanting that I had.
I mean, in your head.
I can't get that out of my head.
Well, I just don't,
I would like to see at least a good photo of him, and I don't have one. I would like to have something to look at. I just want a photo of my dad and Sandy, and I don't have one.
Okay, well, I
would love to have at least something. I just want to see his face and
Okay.
her.
Well, I'll tell you what, the media showed photos of your dad and Sandy, and they were good photos.
I just want to see something of my dad.
I think that'd probably be better for you to see. I'll download those photos and I'll get them to you, okay?
I couldn't even go to my own dad's funeral. You know how much that hurts me? That's going to hurt me for the rest of my life, even with my mom. Even when I get married, it's always going to bother me. I can go and see a bunch of grass. That's all I can see. I never got a chance. I don't even know what my dad looked like. I don't know what he was wearing. I bought him so many suits. I hope he was wearing some Air Bottoms.
Tabitha, when you were there when your dad died, and you were there to tell him that you loved him.
But he wasn't alive when I told him that.
But he was there.
He was there.
I would have loved to at least been there to say my goodbyes to my dad. It shouldn't have even came down to me saying goodbye to him. He was only 50 years old. She was only 43 years old. I've had my words with them. Of course we have fought, and I said, I hate you, you're the worst father. Of course I've told Sadie, I hate you, you're never going to be my mom. I regret every bad thing I've ever said to him. If I could, I would take my own life to bring them back. Because right now it feels like nobody would care if I lived or died right now. I'm sure my mom wouldn't give two shits, or my family right now.
Well, that's not true.
A lot of people care.
I don't have any memories. The only image I got of both of them are laying in the room. I had a good photo of them that he decided to rip and throw out a damn window on a freeway. I lost everything, so I came in here 2 weeks ago. I had it all. I had everything. I was going to college this August. I was going to Cleveland State. My dad had a car for me. My Uncle John called him, told him he had a car from an auction he was going to give me. So 2 weeks ago, I had a life. I had a car. I had school. I had 3 parents. I had a family. I had 3 dogs. I had Jason. I had Tammy. I'm in here. I don't have my father. I don't have Sandy. I don't have my mom. I don't have Jason, Tammy, or my dogs. I got 1 dog dying on me already. Like, I really need another death, right? That was the only thing I had. Because it put me in the mind of my grandmother, because my grandmother hated animals and loved that dog. That's all I got. And I don't have memories anymore. I lost my grandmother in 2004. I lost both parents in 2007. I got a mom, but I don't think my mom cares about me anymore.
That's not true.
Nobody's been able to tell her the truth. I don't even know what my court date is. They told me September 9th. I find out September 9th is on a Sunday.
It's actually August 9th.
Yeah.
August 9th is my court date. Can anybody let my family know?
Like I say, your mom left a message for me to call her today before 1 o'clock. So I'll call her and make sure she knows.
I haven't even spoken to her. My aunt's accepted my calls. I want something of my dad and Sandy.
No, I'll get you photos of them, okay? Yeah, I promise you I will.
Everybody comes down into my room and asks me what's wrong. I wonder. I don't look the same anymore. At one point I used to be the glamour queen of South Euclid. I took my own horn. Okay, I used to be a proud, uppity little bitch because I had it all. I had a beautiful home, which now when I get out, it's in my name. I'm going to have it bulldozed over. I'm going to have that house torn down. My brother builds and tears down homes. I already put a message into him. When I get out of here, I want the house torn down. The cars are in my name. I'll keep the Corvette because it's my dad's, but nobody's ever going to drive it. No, it's never going to be drove. The Jeep I'm going to sell and get a different car. I have no photos, no memories of my dad or Sandy. All I got are bad ones. I can't sleep because I see both of them in my head every single day. And all I hear is how bad Sandy looked. Can you at least tell me that? Was she that bad that she had to get cremated?
Well, I don't know the decision to cremate her or to bury her.
They said her face was smashed in. She had no skull, they said. And from when I kissed her, all I remember was I kissed her on the forehead. I didn't see her face. They said my dad had a cut across his face. I thought that was blood. I didn't know. Were they that bad?
They weren't that bad. So I don't know if the decision to cremate Sandy was because of her injuries or because that's just what was planned for her funeral.
I would give anything just to see them again. And if it's wrong for me to say I pray every day that Carlos drops dead in cell, if that's wrong, then I guess I am.
I don't think that's wrong.
I know I'm not going to live too long because I'm dying of a broken heart, and I can feel it. It's stupid for me to say it. I thought I hated Sandy. I really thought I hated Sandy because I thought she destroyed my family. I'll be honest, I thought she destroyed my family and kicked my mom out the picture and took over. But as I sit down and I think, please don't tell my mom, but everything I try to remember of the mother-daughter thing, it was only Sandy I have.
How long were Sandy and your father together?
Years. When I was 7 years old, I met Sandy. Outside my grandma's, my mom was in jail as usual. You know, my mom's been in jail half my life. And I won't forget it. You can ask my aunts or anything. The first thing I asked Sandy was because I connected with her when I was 7 in my grandmother's parking lot. And I asked her if she would come over tomorrow and do my hair for school. And she said yeah. Ever since then, I used to live in the back with Sandy and my grandmother's. My grandmother had a double home in the yard. She rented Sandy. I'd stay there with her. Sandy took me everywhere. She took me shopping. She was excited for graduation. They went to my graduation. I got to see them there. That was my only last good memory of them. My dad was excited to have me for the weekend. Like I told you in my statement, how can somebody's life change in a weekend? And right now, it feels like I'm in this whole thing alone. It feels like my mom doesn't want nothing to do with me. I heard she wrote a statement saying that she believes I did it.
I haven't seen that statement.
Well, that's what my aunts told me.
Well, I can tell you this, okay? I do know over the weekend, Jason has tried to contact you.
I wish I could talk to him.
And I do know that as of this morning, your mom called and is making arrangements for you to get an attorney. So your mom still cares about you.
How can I talk to Jason?
Did you try calling him from the phone down there?
Yeah, it won't go through. Is there a way I can talk to him before I go back down to my cell?
I'll let you make a phone call up here. Okay. All right.
Is there a restroom? I feel like
Yes.
I'm going to throw up again.
Right in here.
No, it's not the best.
Thank you. no way that I can prove to people I wouldn't kill my parents.
You're doing fine, okay? You're doing
I don't
fine
think
here.
I can last too much longer. I really don't think I can hold on longer.
You have to let the truth get you through this.
I'm trying.
Okay? You have to let the truth get you through.
But I'm never gonna see my parents again.
Well.
What was I supposed to do? Fight him and have 3 funerals?
That's exactly what would have happened, Tammy.
I loved my dad. I loved my dad.
That's very obvious.
And I loved Sandy. I just didn't prove it. She thought I hated her. I know she did. She thought I hated her because I told her she would never be my mom. But I never thought I would blink my eyes and never have them again. And I'll hug them and tell them I'm sorry. My last words to my dad when we were fighting was, I'm never going back home. That's the cross. That's the cross. Right there. That Carlos had. That's the cross that I bought my dad. I miss those two so much. I'm never, ever gonna see them again. Ever. I know I'm a spoiled little rich girl, but you know what? I'll give it all back if I could get my dad back and Sandy. It's not fair that Carlos has his parents and his family. So when I get out...
So that's gotta motivate you.
But when I get out, yeah, I'll be better because I'm free and I don't ever have to be in jail again and he'll be here. But really, it's a win. It's a both. He wins and I lose anyway. Any way you see it. I could stay here and rot in jail and you guys could bury me under a prison.
I don't want to do that.
But I'm saying, he would win. Because I'd die in jail. I'd be with him no matter what. He didn't want me with Jason. He didn't like seeing my dad always have jewelry on me. One point I had jewelry around my neck and rings on my hand. Anna Nicole, she thinks she had it all. I had more than she would ever have. Carlos didn't want that. And he took my dad, which was my best friend. I know I talk more about my dad than I do Sandy, but I can't help that. I love her, but Dad was mine. He was mine. That was the first man I loved. And I'm never going to get a chance to see them again. And so if I go to jail and stay here for the rest of my life, he's going to win. If I get out and I go back home with my mom, my family, Jason and Tammy, I'm still losing.
You have to take all the little victories, Tammy.
Okay? I'll never hear his voice.
No.
And I'll never...
But you remember those times.
I want to get yelled at again.
You have to remember the Indian mark in your middle of your forehead from his ring.
It looks like he was wanting to laugh in the photo. I put that cut on his forehead because he pinned me in a corner and he smacked me. And I had my little scorpion ring. And I decked him right in the forehead to let me out of the corner. And he started laughing over it.
Remember when he popped you in the head? Put the little Indian in the middle of your forehead? And then took you for ice cream, didn't he?
Yeah. I loved him. And I just never told him. I mean, I told him, but I don't think he ever believed it because I'd caused him so much help. And Sandy wasn't a bad woman. I used to tell her she would never be my mom. You could never add up to one of her. She had something more than my mom. Don't get me wrong, I love my mom. But she's never gonna add up to her. Were these the photos they showed on TV?
Actually, no.
No?
They showed the photos that I saw. The photo that I saw of Sandy, she was smiling. Her hair was like this, but she was smiling. And the photo of your dad was actually pretty cool. He was looked like he was sitting on a couch, and he had sunglasses on. And he looked. It came across as like a real cool dude. Just from the photo. So that's his driver's license picture.
Yeah, I know that.
The photo of your dad, he was a little bit younger, but he had his pimp sunglasses on, and he was looking pretty cool. The photo that I saw on TV.
I know that was her license because I had them from her for about a week. Because she wouldn't take me to get my renewals. So I had them from her. We got pulled over, going to the license bureau. And the cop asked her for a license. Then she went to get them under the sun bathroom. She didn't have them. So she got a ticket. And I hit them and I put them in her purse at the house. And she just looked at me.
Okay, Tabitha. Here's. You feeling a little bit better? I made copies of what you gave me, like you asked. I'm giving.
Keep those. I don't want to read them no more.
Okay.
They won't even let me have anything to read, so that's what I read.
I want you to read the following the statement of, and you could just put in Tabitha Messina. Go ahead and read. These are the rights that I explained to you when we first started.
Right.
Go ahead and answer these questions. After your answer, whether it be yes or no, just put your initials here, and here, and here. Then answer this question: your name, your occupation, address. All right. And I want you to go ahead and read. This is what you gave me. All right. Go ahead and read it, and at the bottom of each page, sign and date it, please. Okay.
What's the date today?
Today is the 6th.
You don't have to read it out loud.
Yeah.
So what's the date?
You can look at it this way, you'll know that we haven't added, changed anything.
Well, it's 8, 6, or 7, yeah.
All right.
Okay? And then at this last page, statement of Tabitha Messina, date and time, and then answer these questions with a yes or no, and next to your answer here, your initials, TM, and then sign and date it, okay?
All right.
I'll try to find the picture of hold on, just.
I was going to find
Okay.
all these first.
You know what? I know that you recognize everything, but it would just
Read it over.
if you just read over it, because I want you to have the.
When it says make a statement, should I just put yes? Because I already did.
Yes. And then you just put your initials next to your answer there. You want some food? Lunch is
You
here.
want to eat it while it's warm?
I haven't been eating.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll bring it in here, and you can, if you want to eat it, that's fine. If you don't want to eat it, that's fine too.
Or do you want us to put it in your cell?
Just put it in the cell.
Put it in the cell.
Should I put my confirmation name too? Like,
No, you don't. That's not a legally binding name. Simple God.
I need him right now.
Yes, you do.
But you know what? The biggest step is realizing that you need it. Am I right?
Yeah.
From there, it's easy.
You know, it's funny though. I was always brought up to be a Catholic girl. I never once believed in them.
Do you want to talk to somebody from the church?
Is that going to help?
I'm asking you. Maybe it'll make you feel better. I mean, we can.
I'll do anything right now.
I'm just interested.
Should I put my dad's address where I lived? Because I don't know my mom.
Wherever you receive mail.
My dad. Occupations.
Do you have a job right now?
No.
Okay, you just put unemployed.
Alright, there's one. Oh, I gotta put my name.
And if you sign the date, you can go to the bottom of that one too.
Alright. Now you guys will be in court too, right?
Oh yes.
One of us, if not both of us.
Right here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to see him again, aren't I?
Carlos?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question.
I hope so.
I'm sure sometime down in court you're gonna have to.
But that's when you can look him in the face and tell the story of how
I'm
he
going
did this.
to. That's what I want to do. That's what I've been wanting to do. I told my mom. I spoke to her. And I told my aunt too. If I walk out of here, I'm moving out of here. I don't ever want to hear about this again.
Well, the first thing you're gonna do when you get out of here is you're gonna go to the cemetery. Okay? And if nobody in your family will take you, then you call me and I'll take you.
We'll take you.
I want
Okay.
you guys to come with me. My dad liked you guys. I think they're at Holy Cross. I think. You know, I don't want anything else to do with anybody. If they were against me already. If my family is against me, I don't want anything.
Well, you know, Tabby, your family doesn't know the truth.
Yeah, but once they do, how am I gonna look at them?
Right now, all they're going on is just speculation, okay? They have very little information. They don't know what we know. And quite frankly, there's a lot of things we're not going to tell them, okay? Because we need to do what we need to do to make a case against Carlos.
I want to see him behind bars for the rest of his miserable life. I've been clean for a long time. Right now, I think would be the first day I could actually say, I wish I had a drink.
Well, what do we talk about?
I know.
Oh, well, that question, are you under the influence?
Uh-oh. That's what I was wanting to say.
So. you want to have another smoke?
Yeah, please. What time is it?
It is 12:41.
Is there a way I'll be able to talk to Jason for a minute?
Yeah. You know what? Why don't you smoke your cigarette, and then when you're done, I'll take you out, and you can call him from one of the desks
How
out
did
here.
you know he was trying to get a hold of me?
They told me.
Does he believe me or is he against me in this?
No, I haven't talked to Jason. I can tell you that he loves you. I mean, because I take it back. I haven't talked to Jason since we picked you up. Okay. I talked to Jason briefly on the 29th or the 30th. I think it was the 30th. Just briefly, and he told me how much he loved you. He told me that he proposed to you underneath the fireworks at Bexley.
I told my dad, Sandy. They both got happy about it.
And he told me that your dad gave his blessing for you guys to get married.
You talked to my girl by any chance?
Your who? Tammy? I haven't talked to her personally. Ray has talked to her.
Are they okay? It's just that I was telling him, either way, if I die in prison, Carlos is gonna win. If I get out, he's still gonna win.
Why do you say that?
Because he took what I needed away from me. I told him, it's stupid, but my idol always was Anna Nicole.
Told who? Okay.
She was always my idol, because she was popular, rich, beautiful, and had it all. And I told him, now that I look back on it, I've thought about her, and how I wish my life was just like her, and now I think she didn't have anything that I had, and that was my dad. A family that loved her, and everything that anybody could ever ask for. I modeled because my dad thought I should. And I did that. It didn't make me feel any more special than I already was. I mean, you've seen me. I'm sure you drove past when I would be on the street walking and things. I looked different from my friends. I had the most expensive clothes. My dad took me shopping and bought me a '75 jogging suit outfit with a jacket and the pants to go with it. It was jeans in the front and a jogging suit in the back. He thought I had to have it. He bought it. It was '75. My homecoming dress. It was a gown and it had rubies all the way around it. And he bought it for me. Sandy bought me so many things. She bought me a coffee mug for my graduation. It's at the house and it says graduate of 2007. My mom bought me the dog. My dad, he was getting a car for me this week.
Well, it's no secret to us that your dad doted over you. You were.
I loved my dad. I never really showed it because I was always the uptight, spoiled little rich girl that thought I needed everything. And he did everything. When I was infatuated with Britney Spears, he took me to every concert that girl ever did. He took me to the Backstreet Boys when I was in love with them, NSYNC when I was in love with them, Cher because I loved her. He took me. He didn't care how much.
There might have been some of your dad wanted to go see Cher.
He did. He was in love with her. But he took me. He let me drive the Corvette one time when I was 15 and I didn't even have a license down at my grandmother's. And I almost wrecked it, and he laughed. I stole the car from my grandmother's, his car, his cream-colored Cadillac, and backed it into my grandmother's driveway, into her garage door, and took the whole garage down. He got mad, but then he laughed, and he did his specialty. Go out and get an ice cream. For every mistake I ever did, I told him I put that cut right there on my dad's forehead. Because he pinned me in the corner by the TV, by the microwave. And he leaned over and he was like, I should kick your ass. And I had my Scorpio ring and I decked him right in the forehead. And he looked at me and he like shook it off. And he said, and he had that big little grin like he always did. And he said, "You are my girl." He took me out and got me an ice cream. I mean, he was the best. He was one of the greatest ones. Yeah, he looked mean. He looked scary. Jason was petrified. Tammy was too. Everybody was. And you ask him what I always used to tell him what he was to me. A big teddy bear. Everybody else, he was a grizzly bear, but he was my teddy bear. Every time I was hurt or scared, I'd always go to him. For little things, nothing major, like I wouldn't tell him personal things. Certain things he knew, and it was funny. I'll never forget when I was in Greenview, and I started my little friend, he told me. And I called, and I told him about it. He started crying on the phone. And he ran to Mark's that night, and he was like, "What should I get?" And I was on the phone laughing, on the house phone, trying to tell him what to get. And you heard all these ladies that worked there started laughing. He got so embarrassed. So he bought me that. He bought me a pack of cigarettes. And he never wanted to know about it again. And he did. And she helped too. Even though she knew my dad would deck her in the face, when she found out about the pregnancy, she took it and kept it quiet. And did it for me. See, I trusted her a lot more than I did my mom. That's why I have my doubts on my mom. I know she loves me, but when I get out of here, am I going to have a happy life with her? Seriously?
I wish I could answer that.
I could. No. It'll be happy to see her. Don't get me wrong. I'll be free and see my mom.
Oh, I thought you wanted to take her with you.
I will, but it's going to be like that throw mama from the train. You ever see that? You ever see that? That'll be me and Jason. We'll lock her up in the top room with bars on the window. Have you guys come over and yelling at us, as usual. And be like, "You deal with her then." She'll have coffee and cigarettes under the door, but my dad, you'd have to lock him behind 4 doors. I just want Carlos to get what he has coming to him. If he ever gets out and I see him on the street.
Well, you need to stay right for that, okay? You need to stay right for that.
Eyes on the prize.
The prize is my family again.
Well, you can. There's no way to undo what happened, but there's a way to make it right, and that's to have Carlos get what he deserves.
That's why I broke down and told you guys. I told you as soon as. That's why I said I need to talk to my mom. My mom's voice is soothing. My dad's is some. They each had their own specialty. Sandy was the one that you could break down and tell her anything, and she would never snitch on you. My dad was somebody you'd call. He would make you feel stronger about stuff. Like, oh, if I called him right now and he was home, toughen up. Come on, you're in Messina. Be strong. My mom is somebody, she'll find the truth out of you. That's why I said I need to talk to her. And when I talked to her, that's when I broke down for you guys. I got a lot, more than Carlos will ever have in his life. He's older by maybe a year. And I've done, seen, heard it all. And I got more than he'll ever have. I'm trying to get back to it. Right now, I'm sure Tammy doesn't love Carlos anymore. I'm sure she never wants to see him again.
What, had they all stayed with you, and throw Tammy in that group too?
If Tammy and Jason would have stayed with us?
Yeah.
Jason and Dustin.
What do you think would have happened? Had you guys not gotten caught in North Carolina?
If we wouldn't have got caught and they would have all 3 came with us, he would have beat Tammy up because Tammy felt more comfortable with me. And not in a relationship. But I mean, if she had to sleep in a room with him, she would probably want to come by me. You know, because there were moments where I wanted to be with Tammy, around her. I told Tammy more than Jason, and you guys should know by now how much I love him. And I told Tammy more. He would have beat her up, and she would have been another one. I know that. Tammy's not a fighter. Never was. She acted cocky because of me. but she's not a fighter. She would have ended up with him. Jason would have went off on Carlos if he thought I was in danger. Carlos could have took all of them. Jason, I love him, but love is stronger to Jason than fighting. He would have stood toe-to-toe with Carlos, and Carlos would have cheated and hurt Jason, and probably would have done the same thing, and Dustin would have got scared and left, and Carlos would have been after him. Probably wouldn't have caught Dustin. Dustin's a lot very street smart. Carlos is too, but Dustin had a lot more people to protect him. And then I would have got it too, because I would have went off on him. For all the rage over my parents, my best friend, and the love of my life, I'd have killed him, and I would have been in jail. And I know he would have said something out for my mom. My mom doesn't know that. I try to keep it from all of them, because I know Tammy, Jason, and my mom are the most important things in my life, besides my dad and Sandy. Really, besides my dad. I love Sandy, but I couldn't throw her in that category. If it came down to my dad and Sandy, I would have to say goodbye to her. But I tried, and I don't think my mom will ever believe that until she hears it with her own ears. In front of all those people, the judge, the juries, and when I look at Carlos in his face, and I can actually look into his eyes, my mom knows. I can talk to you, and I drop my eyes. I mean, I don't know if you guys notice that. Even when you guys pick me up, I can't look at somebody in their face for only a split couple minutes, seconds. I hope my mom's there for court. I want her there. And I would love to have Jason and Tammy there too. I want them there too. I want everybody to hear what I have to say and the truth about everything. And you guys said my court date is in a couple days?
Well, your initial, your whether or not you want to have a preliminary hearing.
What's that? Like a public where everybody knows?
No, preliminary hearing is...
Is this going to be like an O.J. Simpson trial? Honestly. Going to be based on TV and the news?
No,
No.
it won't be on, it's not going to be a trial on TV. I wouldn't think.
The preliminary hearing is just one step in the process. Since you're here at South Euclid...
Is it going to be held in South Euclid?
The preliminary hearing is held here, and it's for our judge to decide whether there was enough probable cause to issue a warrant for you and have you arrested. That's all it is. It's not a hearing to determine your guilt
Am
or
I
your
going to be
innocence.
able to talk and explain?
When you get your attorney is going to advise you whether he even wants you to have a preliminary hearing or not have a preliminary hearing.
But if I don't
Because
have one,
whatever
then-
happens in the preliminary hearing
That'll be a point.
is admissible as evidence down the road. So a lot of times attorneys will say, no, we're not going to have a preliminary hearing. In which case, they waive the preliminary hearing and everything gets downtown. Okay? If you have the preliminary hearing, then everything stays here for a couple more days and then it goes downtown.
So either way,
So all
it's
it
going to
does
go
is,
down.
Yeah.
either way it gets downtown.
Our court does not hear felony cases. So it'll be sent downtown
Now
either
you
way.
guys are going to follow in every court, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. And what we need to do is actually, in all honesty, is get this downtown.
I want people to hear what I got to say. I want this truth to be brought out.
We need people to hear what you have to say too, so.
I know I got you guys, and I hope I have my mom on my side too.
Well, I just tried calling your mom. I left a message for her to call me. She asked me to call her before she went to work at 1, and I called her at like 12:30. Maybe she already left, but I left her a message to call me. So when I speak with her, I'll tell her, number one, that you want to speak with her and that you would like her at the
Meeting.
Yeah.
What time's your mom usually get home?
Well, let me see. If she has to go to work at 1, she already left. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She's either working 8 or 9.
She'll get off
But
at 8 or 9.
Yeah, but if this is the way, and she always told me we could do this, just get the number to Buckeye, Giant Eagle, okay? When they give that to you, as soon as you call down there, ask for Deli. My mom will always take the calls, because she even said, since she doesn't have a phone, that's how I always got in touch with her.
Okay.
And trust me, she won't get in trouble. But call and ask for the number to Buckeye Giant Eagle. Okay, and then when they give that number, just ask for Deli.
Okay.
When Deli comes on, if my mom doesn't answer, ask Karen Malloy, and they automatically give it to her because she won't get in trouble. She's one of the best workers they got there. And trust me, if she can't talk right now, she'll call you back on her break. And she does get a break. She gets a few of them.
Okay. Does she normally work the afternoon schedule? Or?
She just started there not too long ago. But yeah, but she never gets up real early. She doesn't work really early. But she does work either like 1, 3, sometimes 4.
Well, if we can't get a hold of her today and we bring you back up like 10 o'clock tomorrow,
You can
I
get
mean,
a
she'll
hold
be up and we'll be able to get a hold of her at
My
home
mom
so you
gets
can
up
talk to her?
My mom gets up real early.
Okay.
The earliest she gets up is 8. My mom.
Because we want you to be able to talk to her
I would
while
love-
she's at home,
I would
okay?
love to talk to
Because
her.
Yeah,
she's
I'm
not
sure
going to be
she'll
able
want
to say much at work, you know, talk too
My
much.
mom, she's saying now, when I talked to her, it sounded like she didn't even want anything else to do with me.
Well, I'm sure that's not true.
And I want her there, so I can tell. I want her there, so it's not like I'm looking just at her. I want everybody there. I want her.
Yeah, this is the God's honest truth. Okay, God's honest truth. She was on the phone this morning, telling the chief secretary that she made arrangements for some attorneys for you. So if she wanted nothing to do with you, she wouldn't be doing that, right? Here, come on, let's get you a call to Jason, okay?
All right.
I'll stay with
All right.
because I hate for those guys to
Get mad.
We're,
I
you know-
understand. I understand. Thank you.
You know, want me to tape them?
Yeah, could you?
Okay.
Thank you.
That way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Try to enjoy your lunch there, okay?
I'll try making that call again. What's this?
That's maybe some information I wrote it down. No, what if I can't find this black guy?
We'll find him. Can I look at this?
Yeah, so it was all about my mom and I'm feeling it, so.
Did you see where Carlos's friend went with that act?
He took it in his room.
Into Carlos's room or into his room?
His room. He said he was going to get rid of it. I think I even told Jason. Yeah, I know I told Jason about the other murder. He did. I remember. And it was a young kid, he said. And he said it was a drug deal gone bad. And he said he killed this kid, and they were cutting him up right then and there, and you hear all these other guys saying, hell yeah. And he had a sick little laugh again. And Jason remembers a lot of everything I've been telling you guys, he remembers it.
When, did he say where he was when he killed this kid?
Behind a church.
No, I mean, what state, what city?
Here.
In Cleveland?
Yeah. And he said he was behind a church. And they killed this kid. They threw him in a dumpster so they could grab what they needed. Came back and they started cutting this kid. They said right in half, throwing everything away. They said they were going to take care of it. And he started laughing. He goes, but the head, he said, that's the one thing they always find. He said, they won't find this. And I remember I called Tammy and I told Jason, I told my mom about it. And at that time, I thought I was involved too. I said, Mom, what do I do? She said, you weren't involved. You were over a phone. I didn't know what else to say. I told Sandy. I told my dad. My dad was like, that's a sick son of a bitch. Because my dad, I don't know if it's true or not, but when my dad was young, the mafia was still around. Mafia died in '99. I don't know if he was a part of it or something, but the way my dad looked, with all the jewelry and everything, you could tell my dad was something big when he was young. And Carlos tried to be just like him. Whether he wants to deny it to the fullest or not, he wanted to be like my dad. He wanted to have the beautiful home, the beautiful women. He always had the cars, the money, the jewelry. He was sick over all that stuff. And it pisses me off even more, and it eats away at me little by little, knowing how could somebody be so jealous of somebody after he worked for it. He didn't do the best. He could have did maybe something else and got money, my dad. But if that's what he knew, and he never hurt his family. He made a family, and he made a good life for them. And Carlos makes fun and says, oh, you guys are the Sopranos and everything. Sopranos are fake. They make you look better on TV than the real life. They don't tell you everything about it. They don't tell you all the pain and the hell and the suffering and the losses that you got to put up with this to make it to where my dad did.
Hey, Rich, can you call downstairs and dispatch and let them know there's 2 people that are coming in to see Tabitha?
You can call me Tabby. Everybody does.
It'll be okay. Just if they come in, if you can just go down and get them, or I'll go down and get them to sit with her.
But you can ask Jason. He even said, tell him he can ask me anything when I get here. He knows everything I've been saying. It's true. Because I'm Italian and I've always had things that said the Italian princess and all this stuff. And yeah, I'll admit I was an uppity bitch when I was in school. I wasn't a nerd. I was always the popular girl in school. I had a lot of people that liked me. And what my grandma always said was, a lot of people like you for what you have and what you do. But if you find one person to stick by you that's true, then that's all you need. I don't know a lot about Tammy. I don't know. Maybe she was just infatuated about what I had. A beautiful home, everything I wanted, money in my pocket every time. And I didn't work one day. I mean, yeah, I had like little jobs in Marks and Heinen's and a waitress. And I had good money. I had $75 in a paycheck. Okay? Big deal. If I had 75, my dad would give me an extra 20. I had money for a festival. Just to blow. He didn't care what I did. Blow it. Spend it. He gave me money Friday. He gave me like $20 to go out and blow. Just to walk around and kick dirt. And then the next day he gave me another money. More money. Even if I had 20 on me, he'd always make sure, you know what, take this too. And I told him, Dad, I don't need money. Jason's heard me say, I don't need money, Dad. Well, even when I had a phone. Well, just in case you need to make a call. Dad, I got a phone. I don't care. Buy cigarettes. My dad always had everything for me. It's stupid, but you know, our movie, that was mine and his, was it was a cartoon. And it represented me and my dad to the fullest. It was that, what was the one with the lions in it, Lion King? That was me and my dad. We always watched that. Even when I was 17, on my 18th birthday, we popped it in just to watch it. That was mine and his movie. I told you our songs. I miss him terribly.
It's okay. It's okay to miss him.
It shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened.
But it did. So now you gotta put your eyes on the prize. And let that motivate you. Okay? Let it drive you, let it motivate you.
Oh, it's been driving. It's been driving. But the more I think about it, the more hate I get and the more madder I get. I get so mad, I can't sleep. I can't sleep.
I can't help you sleep.
I don't need you to help me sleep. I want to get him like he got me. I can never get him as bad as he got me. I can never hurt him as bad as he got me. Killing him wouldn't hurt him as bad as I already got hurt. I don't want him to die. I don't want him to die. I want him to wait every moment of his natural life, his miserable life. His family hates him, and I know it. And it's hard to say, you know, your own mother hates you and things like that. Even on my doubts, I think my mom hates me. But I know she doesn't because she's still trying to help. And I know she might be hurt and she might be confused, like maybe she did, maybe she didn't. It's a toss-up. Even if it was my mom in here, I'd be thinking, did she? No, she couldn't have. It's always going to pass. But I know she has to believe somewhere in her heart that I didn't, because if she did believe to the fullest, she wouldn't be helping me. I've said I hated Sandy so many times. So I was blue in the face. Me and her got into fist fights so many times. But I mean, yeah, I would hit her, she'd hit me, we'd fist fight, we'd roll around in the grass. We would. Me and Sandy rolled. She left my dad one time and thought I was sleeping on the couch. And it was snowing outside. And I was known for always, even if it's like below zero, ask anybody, I'll wear socks, but I always wore tank tops. She thought I was sleeping. My dad was at work. She decided to sneak out the house to leave. I heard her. Why? Because of the wind chimes. That always got me caught. And to this day, I hated those wind chimes. And I chased her down the street, the hill, in socks and a tank top. And she wouldn't come back home. And I kept saying, let me see her phone. She wouldn't let me. So I bum rushed her like the water boy, and we made fun of it afterwards. But I jumped on her, wrestled her down to the ground, stole the phone, called my dad, told him, if you don't hurry up, I'm not your babysitter. You better put a leash on this. I did tell him that. I said, you better put a leash on this because she ain't my old lady. And I'd make fun of him and everything. I mean, I used to say, she was a big woman. And I'm not saying fat, but tall, nice build. I mean, good body, but, you know, had tone, muscle tone to her, you know? And my dad used to say, I don't know if you probably know half about all. You know anything about Andrew?
Who?
Andrew Buca. Did you ever hear
Very
stories
little.
with me and her?
A little bit, yeah.
You heard about the lesbian relationship? I thought I was. I'll be honest. I thought I was. But my dad always used to tell me, he would get mad at me about it, but then he would say, you know, I'm glad you would be like that. Well, that was just a phase I was going through. And, what was it? He thought I was with her. And I used to say it all the time just to piss him off, you know? And he caught me and her walking down Green Road one time, and I seen him. I seen him because I had my phone. I knew he was, because he called and he goes, I'm on my way. Well, on the phone, you could see people coming behind you and everything. I saw his car. The Corvette you cannot miss.
Mm-hmm.
So I put my arm around her, walking down Green Road. He spun his car out of control and blocked my path where I couldn't continue to walk. And he goes, I caught you. He said, you had your arm around her. I looked at him, I go, yep. He goes, you're I said, yep. And he goes, no, you're not. So I kissed her in front of him. He got out the car, and he chased me and her all down Green Road. And we were by the Phoenix coffee shop down there. And I told her, I said, you know what? I said, we'll split. He can't chase both of us. And I know he's going to chase me. I said, split. So we split. He chased me all around the building, and I was outrunning him. I mean, when I was coming around the front, he was just making it around the back. And so finally, I hid behind the garbage can. I'm watching him run around. Me and her on the phone. I said, okay, we're going to make a run for it. I said, we're going to catch the bus, and the bus was coming. And he saw me run around this garbage can, and he hopped in his car, and he stopped the bus. He got on the bus, and I was 18 at the time. He stopped the bus. He said, he threatened the bus driver, let my daughter off this bus. The bus driver looked, he goes, she can go if she wants to. I said, no. I said, now get off the bus. I said, well, I'll call the cops. You know how you give that look and fight his lip? He got off the bus and he followed the bus all the way downtown. And he tried to catch me and her. And so every time he would throw that in my face, oh, well, you got a marble-eyed girlfriend, because her eyes, she was scary looking. I mean, the only reason I did that was because if I said, oh, Tammy's my girlfriend, my dad would look at me and be like, yeah, right. Because me and her were that close, like family. But if I threw Andrea up, he'd get pissed. So he yelled in the middle of the street, look at those two. And I looked at him and I said, well, at least when I go to the store, I said, with my old lady, I said, people don't have to take a double look to see which one's the man. Because I always said Sandy looked like a guy to him. And he'd get mad at me. And I used to tell her she would laugh about it because she knew I wasn't serious. And she'd look at me and she goes, why do I have to be the guy? And I'm like, well, you could be the guy and he could be the female. And I used to tell him, I said, you'd make an ugly female. So me and him, we had our moments. We had our good times, we had our bad times, mostly good times. But I mean, that was my dad. I had the right to fight him and argue with him. You know? Anybody else ever put... I jumped, matter of fact, ask my aunt. I'm sure you'll talk to them. My dad and me got into a fight on Payne Avenue because I took off from my grandmother's. He chased me in a Corvette. Cops came, threw guns out on my dad. And we were fighting that day, me and him. And I went after a cop when they put a gun to my dad. And they kept saying, and you know my dad's favorite line is, don't point a gun at me unless you're going to shoot. Because that pisses me off even more. Well, I jumped out in front of this cop and said, if you shoot my father, you're going to have to shoot me first. And the cop looked at me and he goes, ma'am, please get on the step. I said, like I said, you got to shoot me until you get to my dad. And my dad looked at me and he goes, you're a Messina through and through. We made up right in the middle of the cops, and the cops got mad because they wanted to take one of us to jail. We made up, and my dad looked at me and he goes, you're a Messina. He said, get in the car. Got in his car. Where'd he take me?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. At the apple cart. And he looked at me and he was so proud of me that day. He goes, I can't believe, he said, you jumped off a step in front of the cops. I said, well, when it comes to my dad, I said, I'm the only one that's allowed to pull a gun out on you. And I told him that. I'm the only one. He shot me with BB guns before, but I got to shoot him back with them. But to actually physically hurt me for the rest of my life, he never did. Sandy never hurt me either, but she just pissed me off a lot. Because she had that, when you're all mean and mad and everything, she'd be the calm one. And it's like, that would just piss me off. It's like, I tried to get her mad and she wouldn't get mad. She'd laugh at me. So I was like, I can't ever piss this one off. So I attacked her. And I never forgot, me and her got into a fight in the basement. And we had a white cordless phone at the time. And she goes, I'm going to call your dad. I said, no, you won't, because I had the phone. And I threw it. When I threw it, it bounced and it went to the fireplace and exploded. And she looked at me and she called me a crazy bitch. She goes, nothing's worse than if you walk, like what she used to tell me, because when I was living on Harbor and Broadway with my mom, she goes, what black people fear more is a crazy white bitch. And that was me, because when one black guy walked past me, you know how they get filthy mouths. I looked at him, I pinned him right in the middle of the street, didn't know this guy from nowhere, and pinned him. Snatched him by the throat, and I said, do you ever disrespect me again? I said, I swear to God, I said, I'll hammer your nuts to the floor. And he looked at me and took off. I called my dad and told him. He laughed. I would never hurt these two. I'm going to do everything out. If I have to do my last breath fighting, I will. Everybody knows me and my dad were close. The only suicide thing I never did was take the Corvette and steal it from him. I wanted to so bad.
Yeah, you went to Columbus, you took the
Jeep.
Jeep, yeah.
I knew he wouldn't have been as mad if I would have took the Corvette. He would have hunted me down. He would have tracked me down. And when he come to pick me up in Columbus, Corvette. And my mom drove the Jeep all the way home. And he kept looking at me, you know how you act like you're going to hit somebody? That's all he did, all the way. And then finally he just looked at me, he goes, you've got balls.
Kid.
I know for a fact I caused 99.9% of the gray hair on him. It was worth it though. I had good memories. Wish they wouldn't have been with them. He always said he was going to outlive my mom. Sandy.
So how far down the street did they live?
Renee and them said they were on their way. They're not far. You know where Amy Joyce is? Where we came from? You know that street right past where you get like your job things and then Amy Joyce? Down that street, that's where they live. They're coming down that way.
Are they walking?
No, Renee drives, but she's one of the people that follow every rule, every turn signal, every stop sign, every light. My dad went through lights so many times. Thank you for photos.
Keep those.
I'm going to.
So what's your Aunt Betty saying?
My Aunt Betty believes me.
Yeah, you need to, I know that you want to tell everybody, but
I gotta keep it quiet
yeah,
for a while.
you kind of want
I just want to prove what happened. Bruises leave, but when I did have some things around my neck because of him. This was a scar. That's never going to go away. Ever. I'm sure you heard about that too. No. When, it was at the beginning. It was in February. I don't know, have you ever heard the name Chris Lupo? Him? No. I didn't know too much about him, and I thought he was cute at the time, but I was with Jason. Never did anything with him, but I always thought he was cute. And it's normal. I mean, you can be married and think somebody's cute, right? And me and him became friends in school, but he was dumb. He was 21, about to be 22, still in the senior year. And he wanted to hang out with me and, do you know Lauren Grady? Mm-hmm. And her. And Tiffany Westmoreland. Or not Tiffany Westmoreland, but Tiffany, something. She was real skinny. Real skinny. Well, we all decided to skip school that day. I all smoked a little weed. But usually when I used to smoke weed, I used to smoke a lot when I was with Dominic. And I smoked heavy. And it just made me relax and major cottonmouth and hungry. Well, this one made me real paranoid when I smoked it. And I went home, and I knew my dad knew right then and there. When I walked in the kitchen, he looked at me. And usually when I smoked, I would never look at him. And I'd look away, and I was able to control myself with him. He knew right then and there, and I looked at him right in the eyes. And I was mean and mad. And I felt threatened by him. And I felt threatened by Sandy. They called my mom. She came down. They all three stood with me, and they're trying to calm me down. Sit down, just calm down. And I was all hyper and violent. I said, no. I said, you guys are trying to pin me. I said, you guys are going to kick my ass. And I was hopping and bouncing all over that kitchen. And I snatched the way I know it is, the Michael Myers knife. You know, the big ones. And I ran around the dining room table. And I had my grandmother's cross on. And my heart, they said, was beating like real fast. Real fast. I was going out. I had a cold sweat. And I grabbed my grandmother's cross. And I broke it off my neck and I threw it to my mom. My mom knew what I was going to do. And I didn't want my mom to see, you know. Because she was crying and my dad's trying to ease me and calm down. Sandy, please. I told Sandy, I said, get the away from me. She backed out. She goes, I'll stand here. Don't do anything. And I had the knife like that and I sat down at the table and I still had my hand on it though. And my mom's crying. So at the time I grabbed the necklace and I figured if I would have threw it, she would have looked. You know, natural reflex, look. She didn't even look and she glanced down to see where the cross went. She'd seen out the corner of her eye. And I remember my dad thought he was easing. He kept easing real slow without me seeing. And I seen him because he hit the chair by accident. And I seen him. He was coming around. He got real close. My mom was passed out. And she's on her knees and she's screaming, Sandy, grab the phone. And I remember I just blacked out. And I remember I looked at my dad and I just my eyes got all heavy. And as soon as before I hit the floor, my dad was already on the floor trying to catch me. And he caught me. And I remember he got on top of me. And I'm laying there. I could hear him. And I was in the hospital for like 4 weeks. And finally, they released me, and I had to go into this mental part. And the doctor gave me a test and said, "We know nothing's wrong with you." And when the results came back, they found out that the marijuana was laced with cocaine. That's what made me go crazy. And they realized that. They let me go. And when I finally healed, I'll never forget it. My dad did one of his home method things. He played doctor. So he grabbed tweezers and he would cut the knife. And he removed every stitch in my whole neck, and I trusted him to do that. And I was gagging, and Sandy was gagging in the kitchen. She kept going, ugh, she couldn't laugh, and Sandy ran to the bathroom so many times, throwing up. She was getting sick because she had a weak stomach. And I remember my dad had his little bifocals on. He always reminded me of Robert De Niro in Meet the Parents with the bifocals.
Mm-hmm.
Good-looking man, and he always reminded me of him because in the movies you've seen him as this macho man, you know, tough guy, good-looking man, and then when he gets older, he puts the glasses on, gray hair, and he's the father. And I told him that as he was removing it, and he snatched me by accident with tweezers because he was laughing. And he removed every one of these stitches out of my neck. I remember that. And he kept the stitches, too.
Oh, jeez.
He threw them in a bag, and he was keeping them. And Sandy came out of the bathroom, and he told Sandy, he goes, "Wipe her neck down with alcohol."
Oh.
She looked at him, and I looked at him. I said, "Alcohol." He said, "Yep." I said, "Peroxide, you mean?" He goes, "Nope, alcohol." And I'm looking. I said, "No." His big butt pins me down in the chair. Sandy's looking, and she goes, "Come on, Brick." He goes, "The teacher." I looked at him. She grabbed a washcloth, soaked it with alcohol, and he looked. He goes, "You know what? I'll do it." He grabbed it, and he threw it on the neck. I screamed, and I'm trying to fight him out this chair. Sandy almost peed her pants. She ran to the bathroom. She's laughing. And I'm like I gave him a purple nipple to let him off me. I snatched him, and he always used to say, "These are my man boobs." I said, "Damn," I said, "You got bigger ones than me, my mom, and Sandy." He goes, "Yeah, these are my man boobs." And I remember I grabbed him and twisted, and I mean, the blood was coming right to the surface. He screamed like a woman, and he let go.
Ooh.
I remember that.
I don't know what hurt worse.
I used to grab his chest hair, too, all the time. And I remember one Christmas I bought him a bra. And I brought him a panty set to match, because I used to say he always had big chest. And I bought him a tighter one. And it had a little thong with it. And I wrapped it up and I said, "Merry Christmas, Pops. This is from your daughter." Something to always remember. He opened that thing and he just looked at me. He put the bra on. He wouldn't put the thong on. I tried to convince him he wouldn't do it, though. But he put the bra on. But Sandy ended up with it because it was her size.
It's all good. It's all good stuff.
Yeah.
That's important stuff to remember.
But I told you one officer, that's the cross.
Yep.
Right there, that's Carlos has. And then the coin, ring. And then he had a chain bracelet, which is my father's. Did you guys receive the knife? Black one? Black knife? That's my dad. That was my dad. That's what was held to my side. Because Carlos forgot, and he had a steak knife wrapped up in, I think it was his shirt, and he left it on the steps. Yeah, he had my dad's knife. Jewelry. I can't remember. I think he threw my dad's wallet in Sandy's purse. Because I told him, he goes, "Maybe I said, no, leave it." He left me, he threw them in Sandy's purse, I think. Everybody's asking me what I want done with the house, and I told them to leave it until I get out. Nobody can do anything because it's in my name. As soon as I get out of there, I'm going to... I know if I tear it down, you won't make any money out of it. I'm trying to give it to I'm giving it all to my mom. So I know if I tear it down, I won't make anything from it. But if I sell it, I can make something from it. And I'll just give it to my mom. She won't accept it if I told her. So I'll just leave it in an envelope for her. The only thing I want out that house is a big photo of my dad, my grandmother, and my grandfather. It's in my living room. Did you see it?
Go on the wall.
That's the only thing I want out the house. I never knew my grandfather. But my grandmother was my heart, my dad, And you know in that photo, if you ever look at it, if you ever see it again, you see how my grandfather's arms are around my grandmother in the photo? Look at the hand. It's not my grandfather's. They morphed the whole photo.
Oh, yeah?
It was a prison photo. They weren't wearing those clothes. The clothes that they got on in the photos, they weren't wearing. That was my dad's hand around my grandmother. My grandmother was wearing a tank top. That's my dad's arm around my grandmother. My grandfather was wearing a Hawaiian shirt. They put a suit over him and a black shirt over my grandmother.
Hold on. Hello? Yeah. What's the number? Okay. Okay. I'll do that. All right. Bye. All right. I gotta go send a fax here.
Is it alright if I use one of your pens to do my eyebrows? That's how I've been doing them.
Actually, I thought maybe you tattooed them.
Oh, did you? Are they that good?
No.
No? Well, I don't have a pencil, and if I did, I would wipe my thing off and use a pencil, but I don't have a pencil. Well, can you find me a pencil? And I can wipe this off?
I'll find you a pencil.
Alright, and I'll go to the bathroom and wipe this stuff off.
Jason's here, so, okay, don't discuss the case.
No.
If you can let this distract you. We're gonna bring them up here and be more private, okay? Can I give her a hug? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why I brought you here. Do you need to give them a ride home, or are they with you?
Can they say hi to her?
No. I told you it's summer.
Hi. How you holding up?
I'm not doing too well. You guys can sit. You guys can smoke if you want.
You don't smoke, you know, dear.
I just want my 2 packs. They don't want me to tell you guys what I wrote down.
I know. I know, we just called to visit.
I'm not doing too well.
You've got us.
Yeah, but I still. They gave me photos. I got to see the photos of my dad.
The way he was.
Where they found Sandy.
Take a deep breath. believe that.
They didn't pull up. The officers have been telling me when they looked at the house and everything, my hands weren't on anything. The only thing they found.
Okay,
Yeah,
no, talk.
I know, but the only thing I did
No.
was kiss.
No.
I mean, I want you to get.
No, don't get in any trouble. Okay?
I remember
Yeah, I've been smoking. The officers are going to grab me another pack of cigarettes.
Our tax dollars at work.
that. I brought
Who is
something to give
your-
a little hope.
Who is your attorney?
I don't even know yet. My mom's trying to get either Mark Stanton or Michael Feldman for me. She called down here.
Have you seen your mom?
No. I haven't. I haven't seen nobody.
Except us.
No.
That's not right. I don't feeling good at all.
I know.
8 days I haven't slept.
I believe it.
Not eating, and they're scared. And I'm having chest pains and everything else.
It's nerves.
I have to ask them to do something. I'll be right back.
You're gonna promise me one thing. Yeah. When everything is said and done, you're going to admit yourself to a psych ward for a while. Everything in the past, including this, you have to deal with it.
I have something for you.
Jason, I'm talking.
I know.
Quiet.
Here, if you hold on to. Okay.
Right. Because everything in the past and everything right now, okay, you have to be able to deal with. And that's hard. So you have to make me that promise.
Thank you.
Okay? Even if it's just for 6 months, whatever.
No.
Because it's something that you have to be able to deal with. And so what color is your hair today?
I have no idea. One officer, sir, left. He goes, "What's your natural color hair?" I don't even know. I've been through so many different colors, and I don't know. I feel like my one dog's will be a calico.
I did let them, because I was online reading everything, and I did let them know, I think, one of your aunts, Peanuts, one of the dogs.
Peanut.
Peanut, okay. And
Do you get a cigarette or gonna breathe?
I did say, you know, that the dogs were with you,
Yeah.
and I didn't say who I was. I just said the dogs were with you, and
They're
one
trying
aunt
to do me a
wanted
favor. They're trying to do me a favor.
to.
The officer, all the dogs were in my name, but when I hit 18, before I hit 18, they had to be in Sandy and my dad's, because I wasn't of age.
Right.
Well, when I hit of age, they all came in my name. And Sophie was already in my name because my mom bought her for graduation for me. So they already called me and I talked to the woman. They said that my oldest one, Beaner, he's not doing good. And I told her, I said, look, I said, I'm going to have them all shipped back down here. They're all going to get shipped back down here. And they said he's not eating or anything.
Well, your aunt might have already taken care of that, I don't know.
Alright.
Because I just told her, I said she would check with the Linville Falls Police, because they were probably picked up when they were picked up.
They were.
And I said you could probably find them with the Linville Falls Police Department. Because she said the one belonged to your aunt's sister or something.
Wait.
Peanut?
No, that belongs to Sandy.
Oh, okay.
He was in her name until I hit 18. Beaner was in my dad's until I hit 18.
Okay, well, she was inquiring about Peanut. So, I didn't know whose dogs were whose, but I was hoping somebody would go get the
Well,
dog.
they already told me that they were gonna have them shipped down if it was okay with me, since I was they said guardian of all three of them. And I told them yeah, but they said Beaner might die on the way. And I mean, it's gonna hurt, but you know, he lived a long life anyway.
Yeah.
And I told them, don't put him down. I said, is he in pain? They said no. Don't put him down. Just let him live his life till he passes away. I still want him shipped down here. And if anything happens, then I'm gonna have somebody. I'll call somebody and have them bury him for me.
Okay, he might be dying of a broken heart.
Yeah, they said that.
And I don't put him through any more. You know, if he gets to the point where he's just not gonna eat anything or anything like that.
He's not. But that's my least worries right now.
Well,
It's cruel
I know,
to say that.
No, it's not.
I love the dogs very much.
Well, I'm assuming that's why you took them.
That's what I did. I took them, you know, because if I didn't figure anything like this.
Okay, why do they have pictures of,
Because,
patients
because when I seen the photos of my dad and Sandy, the way they found them, I kind of went a little crazy in here and started crying. And I told them that's not the way I want to remember my folks. So they,
got some better pictures?
yeah, 4 of them. That's their license photo. They're trying to get more photos of them for me.
That's
And,
what I found.
they also, they showed me some photos that they put of me on the TV and everything. And I mean, they weren't like bad photos. They were from like the modeling and,
Yeah.
I think one was from like prom, homecoming when I went with Brian.
Yeah.
They showed that one, but they didn't show Brian, but they showed that. And they asked me where they were from. I said one was from modeling and one was with my ex-boyfriend from homecoming. They said, okay.
Well, I have more pictures of your dad and Sandy for you. Remember the ones that I put on your MySpace for you? That I forgot to return? I have those up on hand.
Were you able to get on the computer?
I'm doing on your MySpace.
I gave my aunt my passcode.
Okay.
I gave her my passcode to go on. I told her it was written in a binder that I had, and I left it at her house. And I told her to go on it if she had to. So I don't know if she went on it.
She must have gone on it because it was on the 2nd, just 4 days ago.
And she probably went on it and looked.
Now, is this an aunt that you trust, or, I mean now?
What?
Because some of your aunts and your relatives, I don't know that I'd say I trust her at this point in time.
I don't trust any of the family right now. I already told the detective that. I don't trust anybody right now.
You can trust me.
I do. I trust you.
I don't know if you were able to read the obituary or not.
No. They said they were going to try and get me the newspaper for it, but I didn't.
Well, they did not put you in it.
The obituary.
Yeah, the death notice.
Oh, definitely.
Your brother and sister didn't put you on as a relative.
It's okay.
So,
It's okay.
I just,
It's alright.
I'd rather hear it from somebody here than,
I know. I already told the detective. The detective already told me he was going to help me get out of here. He found out a lot about Carlos's past and everything. And a lot of things on his record.
okay, don't,
I'm not saying that. I told them that they said that was fine as long as I don't talk about what I wrote down.
okay.
But when they pulled mine and his record up, they found I had nothing on it, on mine, except for the trip to Columbus, and they'd seen that it was closed. Because my dad closed it because all he wanted to do was find me.
Yeah.
And that was all that was there.
Yeah.
But Carlos had a lot on his, they even called him to verify
When
his
was
story.
your mother supposed to pick you up from your dad's at night?
She was planning on staying.
I was planning on moving back home. Jason and Tammy was there when I talked to my dad.
What
Yeah.
about your mom? When did your mom know?
I don't even know if she knows.
Because
my
I
dad
don't know
told
who
me-
would have been the other person to have.
My dad told me not to say anything to her.
I don't know who would have been the other person to say something though.
Maybe Tammy.
No, to come to the house if we hadn't.
I don't know.
Because she said in one of her statements that she tried all weekend to get a hold of him.
My mom?
Yeah.
I talked to her when I was going down to Bexley, and that was, when was it, Saturday?
Well, she said that she tried all weekend to get a hold of her and couldn't. And I just thought, well, it wasn't that hard.
Have you believed me that we believe that you didn't do anything?
He called me at 1:30 in the morning.
My dad?
Yeah.
Well, I talked to him, and I mean, Jason was there, and Tammy was there. And, matter of fact, it was at Bexley when he proposed, remember?
Fireworks.
When he proposed to me, I called my dad, and I told him, Jason proposed. He was all happy about it. Jason talked to him. He gave Jason the okay with it and everything. And,
I don't know what happened with Carlos, so I'm not going to discuss that part, but
oh, I know.
I know the next morning when they said he said she was going to get home about 9 the next morning. And I don't know what list you guys should take off to Georgia in the first place.
Well,
We'll talk about that at a later time.
If you were going to
Well,
get
no,
married or whatever.
I'll tell you that because it has nothing to do with the case, really. Me and my dad were arguing. After the festival and everything, we got into an argument. And I think it was over. I was going to stay out with Tammy and them for a while longer. And he didn't want that because he didn't like Carlos. And then I was like, Dad, I'm not even with Carlos. I said, that's Tammy's boyfriend. And he goes, I want Tammy's cell phone then back. Well, I knew if I would have went, or Tammy would have went, or Jason would have went, he would have trapped one of us in the house. Because he loves Tammy, he loves Jason, and he loved me. So, of course, he would have trapped one of us in the house until I came, or somebody else came for us. 9 out of 10, he would have trapped Tammy or Jason, because he knew I would have came.
Yeah.
Okay, because he did that to Andrew. I'm not trying to bring any past stuff.
No, I'm just wondering
I know,
what
but
happened.
By the way, I'm still proud of you.
Well, with me and her, when we were friends at the time, I was leaving and I was outside. I had everything with me, cigarettes, phone, and everything. Well, he had her trapped in the house. He knew I wouldn't leave her, and I was only left with her. So he trapped me in the house when I came in to grab her.
Yeah.
So he would have done the same thing if I would have sent Tammy or Jason for the phone. He would have trapped one of them in the house, and he would have knew I came for either one of them. Well, he knows I wouldn't have came back for Carlos. So I told Carlos. Carlos even asked. He goes, would you want me to take it? I said, yeah, Carlos, would you take the phone? He took it. Well, my dad called. And he goes, I want the phone. I said, well, I already got somebody. I didn't even tell him who. I said, I got a friend. Bring the phone down. I said, I'm not even in South Euclid. I said, I got somebody bringing it down to you. He said, all right. Hung up. 5 minutes later, he called back, and he goes, Carlos brought it, right? And I said, yeah. He said, well, he just punched me, and I punched him. And the little asshole's running back to you. Sure enough, Carlos was running up the hill, and he jumped over the gate, yelling how my dad punched him and everything else. So that's how that brought up. And so me and him were already fighting. And you know how my dad uses the N-word freely. Oh, what are you, your lover? Are you f***ing him too? And I said, you know what, Dad? I said, then I won't even come home. He goes, fine, then go back to your mother. I said, I will. Hung up. We all got into the discussion of, leaving.
And going down to Georgia without
well,
anything
Jason
by
said
me.
Georgia. Jordan said Georgia. Because I was up. Georgia. And I said, yeah, that's fine. And Tammy was all for it. And I mentioned leaving. And he said, well, what about Georgia? And I said, that's fine with me. And that's how the discussion came up with leaving. And it was messed up because when he proposed to me, Carlos proposed to Tammy. And Carlos does not love Tammy. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that.
Oh, Carlos? No.
Carlos doesn't love her
Tammy's
because he threatened her.
view of her relationship with Carlos is a lot different than what you're saying. I said, Tammy's...
She's still in love with Carlos.
According to her, she barely knows him.
Now, ask Jason. How many times did she say she loved him and she was with him? That's her boyfriend. And they even kissed when he proposed to her. And we both heard because we congratulated them. And I looked at Jason, and I said, you know what, let's just congratulate them. Because when they found out, when Jason proposed to me, they screamed. They were like, yeah, our friends are finally engaged. And Carlos got on his knee and proposed to Tammy, so me and Jason did the same thing. We congratulated them. And Tammy got all excited. Did she, Jay? She was all excited and happy about it.
Well,
And
she
said how much
leave that part out that night.
Well, he's witness to that. She said how much she loved him. She was so happy, and that we were all going to have a happy life together and everything else. She did.
And you
And
guys
I'm
weren't
not-
going to stop by and say goodbye?
Of course. I mean, I wasn't going to my house. But me and Jason mentioned you, didn't we? We said we'll say goodbye to her. We will. And that's what we said. We were going to say goodbye to you. We were. We weren't just going to. I was going to call my dad. I was going to call him. I wasn't going to go there. I was going to call him. Tammy was all for it. I mean, whenever Jason wants to step in and say, you know, she's right, she was all for it. She was. She was all happy. And as much as I love Tammy, she's my best friend, and everybody in this room knows that. She's like my sister. Tammy changes boyfriends like she changes underwear. She bounces from different guys. Whoever shows her a little affection, a little love, or whatever she's longing for, then she...
I don't know, her viewpoint of everything is a lot different than
Of course it is.
everything else I've heard.
She doesn't want to be made to be an asshole.
You know?
What?
Want to be honest, you know?
What?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm talking. Is there a problem with this?
But all I'm saying is, you know, when all this crazy stuff blows over, I'll do what you wanted me to do. I'll do that for you. Because right now, I can't trust any of my
And
family right now.
If nothing else, Tabitha, even if you and Jason don't ever get together, for your own well-being, and even before this happened, your father should have gotten it for you when you did that to your neck.
I guess you got what for me.
Some help.
He did. I was doing it.
No. In a psych ward for a while, with nobody.
When I did that, I wasn't in my right state of mind because
I know, but
I was on coke.
I don't know what happened.
Well, I smoked with a friend, and they had it laced with cocaine. And that made me go
All right,
off the deep
but
end.
either way, all I'm saying is, it should have been done like in-house, in a hospital.
Well, when I
Nah.
went to Cleveland Clinic, they did.
No, that was only a couple of days.
Mm.
I mean, I'm talking, it should have been with everything else that has come out about your life and stuff like that so far. I think at that point in time, he should have gotten you the help that you really needed.
He thought I was stronger.
I know you love your dad now. I just think that, and I'm not saying this, I mean, I'd say this no matter who it was at this point in time. Okay, given what you went through, even just growing up, and, you know, how much you loved your grandmother and everything, and getting back to the house with everything else that was going on, it should have been done a long time ago.
I agree.
Where you had time to
Heal.
Yeah. Not, you know, 1 or 2 sessions and then go back home for the same thing all over again while you're in for treatment and going through it all over again. I just think that it's something that you need inside no matter what.
I think this is the worst I felt.
All of that.
I mean, even when I lost my grandmother, I hurt, but
It's your dad.
you know what's weird? Looking at him, and I got a photo sitting right off to the left-hand side of me. Okay, seeing what kind of man he is, and the size of him, and the strength he had, it's kind of hard to believe that he's not with me anymore. And as much as me and him fought, and everything else, I wish I could fight with him one more time.
I know.
I miss my dad. I really, really, really miss my dad.
Well, Ryan and I both talked, and we know you've done a lot of stupid things. Not a lot. But we really didn't think you had this in you.
I would never hurt anybody like that. I've yelled, and the lowest I've ever felt. The day I cut my throat, I had a knife on my hand, and when they came close to me, I didn't threaten them. And I wasn't even there. I was on cocaine, which I didn't even know about until they told me in the Cleveland Clinic. That's what it was laced with.
Who laced it?
Chris Lupo. Do you know that?
Lupo.
Yeah,
Why is it named?
because he went to school with me and Ashley. He was a 21-year-old that was still in school. He's a crackheaded looking thing.
Do you know what his father's name is?
No. But I think he'll be back there at Architect this year. Because he didn't graduate with me. When we walked cross stage, he didn't graduate. He was the one. It was me, him, Lauren Grady, and Tiffany that all skipped school that day to smoke a little weed and found out it was laced with cocaine. Lauren got sick. Okay, Tiffany went bonkers, and I almost lost my life. And where's Crisco? He's fine. He did that. And if I wanted to kill anybody in any part of my life, if I would have committed a murder, it would have been that day, because I wasn't in the right frame of mind. But when I asked my dad that night if I could come home, and asked Jason, did I or did I not get excited when my dad told me, yeah, you don't even have to ask me to come home.
Yeah.
He said, just don't call your mom. Don't tell her. Because I even told my dad, and everybody was a witness, I don't want mom to know right now. I don't want her to know because I don't want her to hate me for it. And he told me, I said, Dad, I don't want to call her. He said, the best bet is don't call her for a while.
Yeah. Have you talked to your mom at all?
Friday. I spoke to her.
Well, she hasn't been here to see you?
She was on the phone today trying to get me an attorney. She called the secretary.
But she hasn't come to see you at all?
No.
Does she have to see you, or?
No. My aunts did.
Were you able to see them?
I denied them. Everything I'm hearing coming from outside, it doesn't sound too good right now. It doesn't sound like I have anybody on my side except for the two officers that already said they believe me because they know me since I grew up.
Well, I think everybody's in shock at what happened.
Mm-hmm. But you know what tears me up even more inside, though? The officers told me, you'll get out. You're going to get out. All right? He's not. They said he's facing 2 counts of murder, 2 life sentences in jail, and in 30 years, he might get a needle.
Can't he get that penalty?
He's going to get a needle in 30 years. But I told him to stop it. I don't want him to get the needle. And you want to know why I don't want him to get a needle? Because I want him to rot in jail and think about it every single day of his miserable life.
Why don't you just have them put him in a room with me and test?
We're going to take you over to court in about 6 minutes.
Court?
Bond hearing. You know what I'm saying?
Bond hearing. What's that? For a bond? Oh, I can't get
And you'll
that.
get an attorney appointed there too.
Well, I can get that. See? I have a bond.
Yeah, do you know what your bond was?
It was $1 million down in Columbus,
No,
North
sir.
Carolina. I don't know what it is now. I don't have it in me, Renee. Now that Jason's gone. Okay, you're the only one, that always put her foot in my ass. Okay? I f around a lot. Okay? But I don't think I can make you believe me. But I love Jay. Can I have a moment with her for a second, Jay?
Yep. Absolutely.
I love Jason. And I swear that on my dad and my grandmother. I love Jason.
Yeah.
And, I was so happy to see him when I seen him at the fair. I was so happy to see him. Everything was going to change and everything. And I mean, it was going to change for the best. I do love him.
I know.
I want to be with him.
Wow.
And I'm willing, when I get out, to do this. But I want to be with him.
Like I said, I will give my blessing,
I'll
provided you
get
do
the
it
help.
because it's
I'll
something
get it.
you need.
I know. I just
Okay.
lost two most important people
Because
in my life.
even
I
besides
know.
that, Tabitha, okay, besides that, everything that you've had in your life, and the way that you were treated and everything, okay, you don't want to continue a cycle.
I don't.
Okay,
I
and
want to
it's
get the
nothing-
help and I want to have a happy life.
I know.
You probably don't like me right now, okay? Which I understand.
Tabitha, I wouldn't be here otherwise.
Renee, I'm not a bad person.
What did I just say?
I know. It's just hard because right now I feel like I'm alone and I got two officers that believe me, but nobody else believes me.
Okay, well, I don't know, about your sister. I have no idea.
Me and my sister really don't have a relationship.
But as far as your brother goes, what your brother said on TV,
What did he say? I didn't even see the TV. I would like to know.
he said that you were raised the same way, and that you had no respect for your father, and that he respected his father, and just from looks on him, I didn't like him.
If you really want to know about my brother, my dad was always good to me, but he had his rules, his ways, to
But
make
he
a
also
point.
didn't have your mother. Your mother is not his mother.
Exactly.
He had a different mother. And
Well, my mom had problems.
I know.
Okay, and what Ricky doesn't realize is Ricky was always put on a pedestal, and me and my sister were dirt, pretty much.
Well, I also realized that, having different mothers makes a big difference.
Yeah, but Ricky
Did
is...
his mother take him to break into houses with you?
No.
No, there's a difference.
He had one good parent out of him. I love my mom. I wouldn't trade her for the world.
I know.
I wouldn't
trade.
trade my dad. My dad was a big drug addict when he was young. My mom was f***ed up when she was young, and she's still a little f***ed up. But you know what? I don't want to turn out to be either one of them.
I know.
Okay? When I get out of here, I'm going to hold my parents proudly. I'm going to be proud. I'm always going to be proud to be Karen and Rick Messina's daughter. I want to hold that proudly till the day I die.
But what you gotta do too is
I just don't want to
get
be
your mom help.
I can't.
No.
No, you know what? Let me tell you something. I'm not going to get her help. She's 46. Okay, if she wanted to get help, she'd have got it.
No, my mother was an alcoholic.
How can I get her help?
It's called an intervention.
I'll never be
But
able to
once
get
you
her.
get yourself together, you take care of you first. You take care of you first. And then you notify your mother, look, either you get help, or I love you dearly, but
I'm done.
you will not see your grandchildren, you will not do this, you will not do that.
I'll be honest, Renee.
And that's what we had to do with my mother.
My brother is cocky. You look at my dad, if you didn't know him, you'd be like, God damn, look at him, the jewelry, he's a cocky motherfucker.
Yeah.
My brother wants to be just like him. He wants to be Rick Messina II. He wants to have the pretty women, the luxury of a beautiful home, cars, jewelry up the ass. He is never going to. He got pissed because my dad left it in the will for the cars and the home to me. You know what I told the officers? When I get out of here, I don't want the house.
Yeah.
I'm never going to live in that house. If I have to, I will sell it, okay, and put the money away for my own home. That's what I told him. I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to keep the money. And when I'm ready, I'll buy my own damn house with it.
Yeah, he wanted the good memories, not the bad.
Oh,
But you've got a court hearing, so let's get you to court.
Why, are you guys going?
Huh?
You guys coming?
You don't want to be late for a court hearing.
Well, I don't think that you said that a few minutes. You guys ready for the court thing?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Jaylee.
Oh, that's good. And wait.
Can I get 1 or 2 minutes on?
Yeah.
You know I'm on your side.
I wish everybody else would. I hear how crappy my brother's acting right now.
I'll talk to you, bro.
No, you know what? I don't want him part of my life.
Hold it.
He's jealous because my dad left the house and the cars in my name. The cops already told me this. And I told the cops, when I get out of here, I'm selling the house. I'm going to sell the house. I'm going to put the money away. Because when I want to get my own home, I'm going to buy it. Everybody, my whole family turned against me.
I'll talk to your family.
I don't need them anymore. I don't need them anymore. I miss my dad so much.
We all do. Well, hold on to that photo, right?
I just love him.
I know you do.
And nobody believes me.
I believe you. I believe you.
Now I have a bond. I can't wait to see what this is.
Okay, we're gonna go, we gotta shackle you back up, and that's for the judge's benefit, not mine.
Alright, should I leave the photos here right now?
Yeah, we'll come back, I'll let you grab that, I'll let you have one last call. Here. Hello?
I hope you won't let me go.
No.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
I told the detective you were the only one that's nice down there.
No,
Really is.
everybody else is tied up about it. I gotta deal with you for 8 hours, so I'm not trying to piss nobody off.
I'm not easy. Don't worry. I'm kind of hard to piss off.
You guys got down there, you're probably like, fuck.
Actually, it was good that it was big, because it gave her some room.
See?
Yeah. Dude, you look good.
That was our homecoming photo. Mollywood. That's what I look like with makeup. This is what I look like without makeup. I know.
Ink pen on your
Hey,
eyebrows.
I got Cameron Woods with the mom. She taught me all the crazy things. But that was our homecoming photo.
Is that Jason?
Yeah, that's Jason. I fixed them up. I trimmed the
You guys dress up well.
We had to match.
Keep that. Don't lose that picture.
I'm not. I was gonna say, since the house is in my name, couldn't I put that up?
Well,
It sure
is it in your name now, or is it
No, it's in my name.
the house is?
Mm-hmm. The cars are too.
Okay, well, maybe you could have, I don't know. I don't know if they were in your name or not, that's why I was just saying.
Cause I mean, I'll leave anything here. I mean, I'm not going nowhere. But I mean, the surety, I have a home, I have the cars.
Any questions about the court?
She doesn't seem too nice, the judge.
Well, I'm not saying anything, but
No, my dad's the one. I remember because
She's got a career she has to protect.
I know, but when I seen her name, I remember my dad told me he called her a hunchback armadillo. Okay? That's why when I seen her name, my eyes got really big. Because I remember he said, because I was in the courtroom, and he had to go see her. And I'll never forget, it was me and my mom sitting there, and when he said that, I know she knows me.
alright, I gotta do this. God damn it. It's driving me nuts. Okay. As soon as you're done with that smoke, you're going to the bathroom, you're washing that pen off your eyebrows. If you're going to do that, use a pencil.
Deal. Deal.
What's up, John?
But That's what I want to find out. If I can at least put the house up for surety.
Hey, if anybody gets into 48, that car, good. Haven't checked that one time. Handcuffs. Okay. Maybe. Yeah. Thanks.
I hope you don't mind, I filled out my personal car a couple times. All right.
So would I be able to tell? Who can I tell?
Tell who
For the house and the surety. Because I mean, I told you, when I do get out, I want to sell that. And I'll keep the money for my own home. And I mean, I got the cars too, because when my dad was going into open heart surgery, he said if anything happened to him, everything's mine. And I mean, I'll put the house up for surety. The car's up for surety. I'll put it all up for surety. And it's all of it together, both vehicles.
Well, your attorney can certainly check into that. And I don't know that that'll be enough
2 cars
to get you to $1 million.
Home?
So.
You said the home and the cars together, both cars. And the home.
That'll be between you and the court.
Should I fill this out now? Because I don't know what this is all about.
Yep.
Does that fill all this out?
Yep. Matter of fact, this is a good time to do that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Just put it right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will you get a deck pen?
Oh no, I didn't want to. Right. There we go. Thank you. I'm Jason.
Yeah. Don't let it get around when I'm an old softie though, okay?
Party representative. So, who's that?
Party representative.
A lot of us, I don't even know.
Party represented. Same. S-A-M-E.
S-A-M-E?
Yeah, same.
Oh. And then my date of birth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were telling me that my brother was being really mean about me on TV.
I have no idea. I haven't seen anything. I don't really watch TV much.
Well, me and my brother never got along anyway. We're for 121, right? Case number?
Don't worry about that.
Phone number? Should I put my mom's?
Yeah.
83. 17. Message from 48 hours. And then other person living in household.
You don't have anybody, right?
That was my dad. So, what do I put for names? Relationship.
You could put your mom, I suppose.
I just know.
Yeah, you should put that. Put Karen
Karen.
Malloy. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry about the DMV. If you don't know, then here, put
Monthly income, employment information. I don't even know. Applicant, spouse or parent, applicant, juvenile.
employment. When you're not working, right? So I'm assuming then that would be a 0.
Right. So by unemployment, just put 0.
No, by employment, put 0.
Okay.
And are you collecting any unemployment?
Mm-mm.
You collecting workman's comp?
Mm-mm.
Collecting pension or social security?
Not it.
Just let's not leave anything else there. So let's put a 0 in that box.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Employer's name for all
You're
the
not
household
working,
numbers.
so you can leave that blank, right?
Mm-hmm. Employer's address. Should I put 1804?
No, you don't have an employer.
Okay.
Employer is the person that's paying you to do work. You don't have one. So
Allow legal extension. Type of extension.
Expenses, non-child support, non-transportation,
Zero.
non. Yep.
Same.
Yep. And here,
Total income.
yeah, just put 0, 0, 0. Their film is not recording ours, no. Monthly liabilities. You don't pay rent or food or anything like that. Zero's there, I guess.
And then she told me not to sign this.
Alright, I'll do it in front of the notary. I'll take these along, probably be zeros. You can actually print your name in there. Okay, that's it. Before you go down,
Oh, well.
you're doing that.
Well, I didn't have a pencil. I didn't have a pencil.
Did your mom tell you about using an ink pen?
Yeah, ink pens and pencils. She used to
I
tell
hope
me.
that comes out.
Oh, it will. It comes off. Soap and water. It comes off.
It's not your color.
No, brownish. I made myself look halfway decent for homecoming. I had brown.
Brown pen?
Pencil. I have brown pencil. Oh, I can't wait. If I do get out, I gotta make myself look better. Because right now I look like shit.
You look a little haggard. I guess that's understandable. But
I hope my mom helps me out. I really do. Haven't been able to talk to her. I've been trying. My aunt wanted me to call her sometime today.
I was gonna say. Get your mom to bring you up your contacts or something.
That'd be so nice. I can't see.
Do you still have one in or?
You see how my eye's green here?
Mhm.
Well, I have, last Friday I was supposed to pick my contacts up, and $75. And, if anything, I mean, could she use the money I have? Should be able to use that.
How much do you have?
181. Just take
Good
75
question.
out of it, maybe.
I'll have to check on that.
Because I can't see.
Maybe I'll
far.
think about taking that other one out.
I can only see halfway decent out of this
Oh,
one.
okay.
That's why. And they only cost $75. And my eyes are really bad. I can't see far distance, if anything, at all. And I mean, I would love to talk to her sometime today. I've been waiting for her to call or answer my phone calls. She hasn't.
Is the line coming up blocked or is she just?
No, it goes to the answer machine, and then that's when the recording comes on, and my aunt accepted it, but nobody's been picking up the phone at all. I would love to talk to her.
Come on, you gotta go wash that off.
Alright.
Despite her statements to police, Tabitha Messina pleaded guilty to 2 counts of aggravated murder and 1 count of robbery. She was sentenced to 60 years to life in prison. Carlos Christopher was found guilty of 2 counts of murder, robbery and burglary. He was sentenced to 2 life sentences without parole to run concurrently.